Chapter 4471. Dugaju continued with a smile. This is Xingqian, a genius of our Misty Peak. He has reached the Saint King realm. Senior Black Ice, what do you think? Black Ice Ancestor was also taken aback. What did Daoist Duga mean? Dugaju said. This time, I'm here to propose marriage. Propose marriage. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. The people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto were stunned. The people from the other grottos were also dumbfounded. It seemed like they were here to propose marriage for Xingqian. Oh my God! Despair filled their eyes. To be honest, Yanzhou's matter had given them hope. After all, they could pursue Xueqi. But now, Misty Peak had proposed marriage. Who would dare to oppose it? Sure enough, those young geniuses were disappointed. Even the elders from Thousand Mountain Cave were stunned. Black Ice Ancestor was also stunned. She did not expect Dugaju to come here to propose marriage. Xingqian is a genius of our Misty Peak, the Star Clan. If the marriage alliance is successful this time, then both of us can work together. Countless people were stunned. The eyes of those from the other caves turned red. To be honest, if they could work together with Misty Peak, it would be a great benefit for the caves. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor's face turned cold. Yen Mo's face also turned ugly. This way, Thousand Mountain Cave would benefit. However, the biggest beneficiary would be Black Ice Ancestor. Black Ice Ancestor would probably soar in the future. If that happened, their lineage would be at a complete disadvantage. Therefore, they were very anxious. This? Black Ice Ancestor was also stunned for a moment. To be honest, she did not know how to respond. But at this moment, Xueqi stood up and said, I'm not willing. What? Everyone was shocked. Xueqi was not willing. Don't be rude. Xian Hai said with a frown. How could she refuse such an important event? But father, Xueqi still wanted to say something. Xian Hai waved his hand and said, I said, don't be rude. Sit down first. The Supreme Elder will make the decision. Although Xueqi refused, Dugaju did not care. He looked at Black Ice Ancestor. He knew that the most important thing was to deal with Black Ice Ancestor. He waved his hand and looked at the stars. What are you waiting for? Xingqian stood up and said with a smile, Senior Xianbing, if Xueqi and I can be together, I will definitely treat her well for the rest of my life. These were some greeting gifts. I hope that Senior and Xueqi won't dislike it. As he spoke, he waved his hand and 3 treasure boxes appeared in the sky. Was this a betrothal gift? Countless people exclaimed as they looked up at the sky. Xingqian waved his hand, and the first treasure box opened. Immediately, 9-colored light flew out and circled the world. A terrifying aura of the Great Path surged. The surrounding people were all stunned. Just the aura alone was so terrifying. How heaven-defying was this treasure? Then, a fist-sized jade flew out. The jade was sparkling and translucent. It was exceptionally dreamy, as if it was the most precious treasure in the world. However, what was surprising was not this piece of jade, but what was sealed in the jade. It was a stalk of spirit medicine, and it could be seen that it was very old. Xingqian said proudly with his hands behind his back. This was a 30,000-year-old herb. The surrounding people were all in an uproar. 30,000-year-old. Heavens, isn't this a little too long ago? This was definitely enough to make anyone's eyes turn red. Sure enough, even the 2 Supreme Elders' eyes shone with a biting cold light. This was extremely useful to them. Not only could it increase their cultivation, but it could also increase their lifespan. The Holy Heaven's old ancestors' eyes turned red. Why didn't his junior have a peerless fairy like Xueqi? Damn it. This Black Ice old ancestor is going to benefit. Black Ice old ancestor was also very happy. However, as the great sage, he was very experienced and knowledgeable. Thus, he was extremely calm and didn't say anything. When Xingchen saw this scene, he waved his hand again. Immediately, the second treasure box opened. Boundless light flew out from it. It was also a piece of divine crystal, and there was a celestial pot sealed in it. The crowd was puzzled. Could it be a top-notch saint artifact? Xingchen said that there was half a bottle of spirit wine in the celestial pot. It should be the legendary Linglong saint wine. The surrounding people went crazy. The Linglong saint wine was a legendary existence. With just a sip, one could almost ascend to the immortal realm. It could definitely increase one's cultivation by a few hundred years. It could directly create a peerless expert. As expected of the Misty Peak. It was really too amazing. The things that they took out shocked everyone. At the same time, everyone knew that it seemed that this marriage proposal was going to be successful. Presumably, the Thousand Mountain Cave would definitely not reject it. What was in the third treasure box? At this moment, countless people were looking forward to it. Xingchen waved his hand and opened the third treasure box. Moonlight appeared inside. Then, a crescent moon flew out. It was the moon. Everyone was stunned. However, some of the older generation experts shook their heads. No, it just looked like the moon. It was a piece of metal. Some of you should have guessed that it was called the Serene Moon Gold. It was the material used to create the Great Sage artifact. I don't think I need to explain how precious it was, right? The surrounding people's eyes almost popped out. The Serene Moon Gold was crystal clear. It flowed with radiance like a divine moon. It was a peerless metal. Indeed, the two great sages' eyes also turned red. They were great sage, and they also had great sage artifacts. However, these great sage artifacts had been passed down from the heavenly cave since ancient times. They weren't personally created by them. It was too difficult for a great sage to create his own great sage artifact. This was because the materials needed were extremely precious. Many people couldn't even find all of them in their entire lives. Therefore, these great sage artifacts were all divine artifacts that had been passed down from ancient times. Now that such a piece of metal had appeared, the eyes of the two great sage artifacts became fiery red. If they could get it and create their own great sage artifacts, they would be satisfied for the rest of their lives. Each of the three treasures would be shocking if taken out. Now that they had appeared together, no one would be able to reject them. The corners of Black Ice Ancestor's mouth curled up as she looked at Xueqi. Xueqi's heart skipped a beat. She stood up and said once again, "I'm not willing." The surrounding people went crazy. He still wasn't willing. What was Xueqi thinking? The female disciples of the other heavenly caves snorted coldly. What was she being so arrogant about? Did she really think that she was a peerless fairy? Xingchen was so handsome, and he was also a martial artist of the Misty Peak. His status was above all the other heavenly caves. If they were in Xueqi's place, they would have agreed long ago. Moreover, she had even taken out 3 treasures, which showed her sincerity. The female disciples were so angry that they wished they could pounce on her and agree immediately. However, Xueqi had rejected them twice, which made them go crazy. Chapter 44-72. The smile on Xingchen's face disappeared, and his expression became unsightly. She had already rejected him twice. Didn't he want to lose face? Even Dugaju furrowed his brows slightly. His expression became gloomy, but he didn't say anything. Xian Hai said hurriedly, "Elder Dugu, please calm down. My daughter is still young, and she is used to being spoiled. Elder Dugu, please don't take offense. I have already made up my mind. Xueqi stood out once again. At this moment, countless gazes fell on her. Xueqi looked around and said in a clear voice, Elder Dugu, thank you for your kindness. However, Xueqi already has someone in her heart. After she spoke, she glanced at Lin Xian. Everyone was taken aback. Xueqi already has someone in her heart. Damn it. Who is it? I will fight him to the death. Even Xing Chen's expression became unsightly. He had proposed a marriage in front of everyone, but Xueqi didn't agree. She even said that she already had someone in her heart. This was a slap to his face. Don't be rude. Xian Hai shouted angrily. Even Black Ice Ancestor's expression changed. This was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but if it wasn't handled properly, it might turn into a disaster. Offending the Misty Peak would lead to a miserable end. The Holy Heaven's Ancestor and the others sneered inwardly. This scene was beyond their expectations. However, they were still very happy. Is too young, and we will give you an explanation for this matter. Black Ice Ancestor also spoke. The situation had become very awkward, and they had to stop it quickly. Otherwise, the Misty Peak would become even angrier. She had just broken through recently, and she might be too tired. This was why she wasn't in a good mood. Guards, take away to rest. Xian Hai waved his hand, and many guards walked out. It seemed like they wanted to take Xueqi away by force. Xueqi said, "Who dares to do this?" She took a step forward, but the guards continued to walk towards her. When Lin Xian saw this scene, he sighed. He knew that Xueqi didn't agree because of him. After all, Xueqi was already his woman. Now, Xueqi was going against the Thousand Mountain Abode and the Misty Peak for him. So, how could he just sit by and watch? Lin Xian walked out as well. With a stomp of his foot, endless nomological laws condensed under his feet and enveloped the guards. Countless laws formed divine chains, sealing them in the sky. Audacious, do you dare to make a move? Xian Hai roared. Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. He laughed. For the sake of a few treasures, he was willing to push his own daughter into the fire pit. As a father, he wasn't much. What did you say? Xian Hai was completely enraged. A mere battle servant dared to clamor with him. Kneel! He roared. However, Lin Xian stood there without moving. He said coldly, "What? Am I wrong? You are Xueqi's elders, yet you don't care about Xueqi at all. All you think about is the treasure and the relationship with the Misty Peak. Have you ever cared about Xueqi's feelings? Xueqi is still young, and she doesn't understand anything. We are doing this for her own good." Xian Hai said coldly. Lin Xian laughed out loud. Young? Don't understand. I see that you've lived for thousands of years, but you don't understand either. How presumptuous. Who gave you the guts to speak here? Xian Hai went crazy. The people in the surroundings went into an uproar. Who is this guy? Is he some genius? What a joke. Can't he see that he's just a battle servant? What? A battle servant dares to speak to an elder in such a manner. He'll probably suffer a fate worse than death. Xueqi turned around and looked at Lin Xian. She revealed a smile. She knew that she had made the right choice. In the next instant, she said, "Father, grandfather, if you insist on marrying Xueqi, it's fine. But I have a condition." What condition? Speak. Xian Hai was delighted. As long as Xueqi agreed, they would fulfill any condition. Xueqi said, "My husband will surely be a peerless hero. Weaklings don't have such qualifications. You can set your mind at ease." Xingqian is also a Saint King, and he reached the Saint King realm 3 years ago. This showed that Xingqian's power was extremely great. However, Xueqi said, even among Saint Kings, there are strong ones and weak ones. My condition is that you must defeat me in order to become my husband. Moreover, since you think that I'm not young anymore, it's time for me to get married. Alright, let's have a competition to find a spouse. I'll invite all the geniuses in the world to sign up. If anyone can defeat me, I'll marry him. Everyone went into an uproar when they heard this. A competition to find a spouse. Oh my God! Didn't this mean that they also had a chance? Some people were shocked. Duguju furrowed his brows and looked at Xingqian. Xingqian's face was gloomy, but a smile quickly appeared at the corners of his mouth. A competition to find a spouse. Interesting. Fine, I'll agree. Xueqi, I'll defeat you personally to prove my power. I'm the most suitable person to be your husband. Xianhai heaved a sigh of relief. Since even Xingqian had agreed, they didn't need to say anything. However, after this matter, they still had to apologize. Even Black Ice Ancestor sighed. It seemed like she had to make a trip to the Misty Peak personally. After all, they had really embarrassed the Misty Peak today. 10 days from now, I'll accept your challenge. I'll give you 10 days to prepare. After Xueqi finished speaking, she turned around and left. Countless people went into an uproar. They knew that a good show was about to begin. Moreover, the news had already spread. All the experts in the region rushed over. They also wanted to participate. The Thousand Mountain Cave was also busy. They were preparing to set up the ancient arena. They also had to entertain more people. On the other side, Black Ice Ancestor personally invited Duguju and the others to a quiet palace, where she received them personally. Xingqian was a little unhappy before, but now, a smile appeared on his face. He wanted to conquer her personally. On the other side, after Xueqi went back, she looked at Lin Xian. She said, 10 days from now, you'll participate, right? Since they had come back from Mount Han, the two of them had been cultivating in seclusion. They even tried to avoid what had happened. This made Xueqi very sad. Lin Xian looked at her and said, "Of course, you're already my woman. Your husband can only be me. I've already thought it through. The Thousand Mountain Cave is the Thousand Mountain Cave, and you are you. Moreover, I don't want to kill the entire Thousand Mountain Cave. I only want to kill a part of it." That's right. Lin Xian wanted to kill those who had participated in sealing them. He also wanted to kill the members of the world of men. After Xueqi heard this, she revealed a beautiful smile. Great, she had seen Lin Xian's strength, which was why she came up with the idea of this joust for a spouse. As long as Lin Xian displayed his power in front of everyone in 10 days, it wouldn't matter even if he was just a battle servant. When this news spread out, the whole world went into an uproar. More experts rushed over. Chapter 4473. After all, Xueqi was already a true Saint King. If they wanted to defeat her, they had to be a saint. Of course, there were also some people who wanted to join in the fun. After all, they were the center of attention at this time. If they could shine in the battle, even if they lost in the end, they would be famous all over the world. They all came to the Thousand Mountain Cave with different goals in mind. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, everyone was excited. The Thousand Mountain Cave even took out many arenas for the upcoming battles. The two great elders and Saint King Dugu had all come. They were sitting high in the clouds, looking down. The experts of the other heavenly caves and the ancient race all gathered around them. Xing Chen was wearing a battle armor today, and his eyes were emitting a biting cold aura. Today, he was going to sweep across the world and defeat Xueqi personally. Then, he would carry out the marriage alliance. The experts of the other heavenly caves were also excited. At this moment, Mo Fan walked out once again and said in a clear voice, "If you want to challenge Xueqi, you have to go through me first. If you can't even defeat me, you don't have the right to challenge a saint." He was right. Apart from Mo Fan, 3 more people arrived. They were all from the Misty Peak. These 3 people were all half-step Saint Kings. They stood in 3 arenas to carry out the elimination. It's so lively. It seems like I'm not too late. A loud laugh came from the sky. Then, a sword light flashed and formed a figure. Another expert came to challenge them. Everyone felt the pressure. No, this was not an ordinary Saint King. This was a late-stage Saint King. This was a terrifying expert. Many people exclaimed. They looked up at the sky, and so did the people of the Thousand Mountain Cave. The 2 great elders and Dugaju were stunned. Their pupils shrank. It's him. The 3 of them stood up at the same time. Taoist Wuk, what a rare guest. I didn't expect you to come. Black Ice Ancestor was very surprised. His face was full of excitement. This was too much. This was his granddaughter's marriage alliance. Now, not only had Dugaju come, but Wuk had also come. This made him feel proud. On the other side, the Holy Heaven Ancestor was also surprised. He didn't dare to be negligent. Long time no see, tour guide Wuk, Dugaju said. The 3 of them invited the peerless swordsman down from the sky. The surrounding people were shocked. Who was this person? He was so terrifying. His identity was also extraordinary. Could it be that he was also from the ethereal peak? The Misty Peak actually sent 2 elders? It was too unbelievable. However, there were also some who shook their heads. No, these people from Ethereal Peak looked confused. Clearly, they did not know this peerless swordsman. This person was not from Ethereal Peak. Who was that? In this place, other than the Misty Peak, who else could make the Grotto Heavens treat them with such respect? Or even be on equal footing with the Misty Peak? Everyone was puzzled. I wonder where Xueqi is. Jian Wuk asked with a smile after he came down. Xueqi, we're here. Not long after, the red-crowned crane flew over from afar. Xueqi and Lin Xian descended gracefully like celestial beings. Here it comes. Countless people's eyes lit up. Jian Wuk said with a smile. She was indeed a peerless genius. It seemed like Xueqi's future was limitless. Elder Wuk, it won't be long before my daughter marries Xing Chen of the Misty Peak. At that time, I hope that Senior Wuk can come. Oh. Jian Wuk was surprised. At this moment, Yen Mo said coldly, Elder Xian Hai, it's too early for you to be happy. What will be the final result of this martial arts contest? No one can say for sure. What? Do you think that young Master Xing Chen won't be able to obtain the final victory? Xian Hai glanced at him and revealed a meaningful smile. Previously, his son had pursued his daughter. Now that Yan Jiu was dead, he must be furious. However, even if Yan Jiu was still alive, how could she marry Xing Chen? Yen Mo looked at Dugaju respectfully and then looked at Xian Hai. He said with a smile, I didn't say that young Master Xing Chen would lose. It's just that I think everyone knows about Xueqi's temper. At that time, I hope that Xueqi will keep her word. Xian Hai's face sank. I know my daughter. She won't go back on her word. Alright, stop fighting. Just watch the contest patiently. Elder Xian Bing said in a deep voice. Soon, everyone's gazes shifted downwards. The people below had already started. Mo Fan and the other strong cultivators of Misty Peak were in charge of the elimination. The battle was very fast. The three of them were very strong. Even if they were fighting against someone of the same level, they would finish the battle within 3 moves. Damn it! How could it be so coincidental? Everyone was in despair. Some who wanted to participate hesitated. They were all half-step Saint Kings. Why was there such a huge gap between them? Could it be that this was Misty Peak? The superpowers and ultimate techniques used by their opponents were far more powerful than theirs. Look! It's Han Chong. He's back. They had heard that he had gone to another world to train. They didn't expect him to finally return. This time, his strength would be even more terrifying. Discussions broke out one after another. Lin Xian turned his head and looked over with a look of surprise on his face. He had met Han Chong in True Spirit World before. He was already a saint, a top existence. Now that he had returned, his strength had increased again. He had reached the half-step Saint King realm. Lin Xian also knew that these people were all strong cultivators who had experienced hundreds of battles. After going through the trials of other worlds, ordinary half-step Saint Kings were much stronger. Han Chong walked over, bringing with him endless ice. Countless people were discussing. This guy was like Fairy Shui-Chi, an expert of the ice element. They didn't know if he could fight against the people of Misty Peak. Oh, an interesting guy. Mo Fan looked at Han Chong in surprise. Then he said, interesting. I'll give you a chance to attack first. Sorry. Han Chong cupped his fists and said. Then, the precepts of his body erupted like an iceberg. The cold aura caused frost to appear on the people around him. Buzz. A ray of icy light covered the sky and flew forward. Too weak. Mo Fan sneered and slashed forward. The ice shattered. A large ice bow appeared in Han Chong's hand. As he drew it back, countless ice arrows flew forward, covering the sky and covering the earth. In an instant, the sky and earth were completely frozen. Boom! Boom! A lot of ice appeared on the surface. Mo Fan's hand was frozen by the ice. He felt that his movements had slowed down. Even the precepts were frozen. Humph! Mo Fan shouted. Holding the saber with both hands, he slashed down from the sky like a galaxy. Boom! The ice swords in the sky were mercilessly torn apart. It was over. Chapter 44-74. Han Chong kept retreating. Many icicles appeared in front of him, about to pierce through everything. At the same time, countless icicles condensed into a clone behind Mo Fan. An icicle spear appeared in his hand, and he thrust it out like a dragon roaring. There were attacks from both the front and the back. It was a trap. Countless people exclaimed. Mo Fan naturally felt the terrifying power coming from behind him. With a roar, the seal on the battle saber in his hand was unlocked again. It formed a Saint King Wu. Chi with a single strike, the clone behind it was destroyed. Another saber strike forced Han Chong back. Han Chong fell out of the arena, his arm numb. I lost. He sighed. Who else? Mo Fan snorted. Next, Hui Wei also went up. These were the people that Lin Xian had seen in the True Spirit World. They all went up one after another. In the end, they all lost. Young Master Ling Tian's face turned ghastly pale when he saw this. He thought that he could even defeat the other party in this battle. But now, he had no hope at all. So he didn't go up. Everyone was in despair. One man and one saber swept the world. The people of Misty Peak were indeed strong. Damn it, why didn't they send their experts? We also have saint-level experts. Some disciples gritted their teeth. However, the elders of the Grotto Heaven snorted. Are you really stupid or an idiot? If you want to die, don't drag the Grotto Heavens down with you. The other party is from Misty Peak. We don't even have time to befriend them. Who would be stupid enough to let a saint fight? Isn't this a challenge? Do you think you'll have a good ending if you go against Misty Peak? Now, the half-step Saint Kings were just going to train. This way, they could train the disciples and not offend Misty Peak. No Grotto Heavens or ancient race dared to offend Misty Peak. However, there was an exception. Because a black-robed man walked over. Only a pair of eyes appeared on his body, emitting a cold light. His aura had reached the Saint King realm. Mo Fan and the other two had cold expressions. Take my strongest attack, Purple Flame Demonic Saber. Mo Fan roared and used the battle saber in his hand to the extreme. Balls of purple flames jumped, waving in the air. This saber was tens of thousands of miles long, slashing down from the sky. The black-robed man struck out with his palm, and the laws danced on it, forming a hand of laws that blocked the saber. Another punch knocked Mo Fan back. Mo Fan's face went pale. Damn it. He wanted to go all out, but at this moment, Xingqian said, Junior Apprentice Brother Mo, stop. Leave this person to me. Mo Fan came to a stop and nodded. Very well, you can pass. However, sooner or later, you will have to stay under my senior brother Xingqian. The black-robed man chuckled coldly. Without saying a word, he walked to the side. Next, he continued. More people walked out one after another, but they were all defeated. In the end, almost no one came out. Was there nothing left? Mo Fan swept his gaze around. At this moment, another figure walked out. His appearance caused countless cries of surprise. Lin Xian's gaze was steady, and his expression was calm as he walked forward. Was he going to participate as well? He actually dared to have designs on Fairy Shui-Qi. Acting recklessly. Battle servants could be killed directly. Cold laughter could be heard. The faces of the people from the Thousand Mountain Cave turned ugly. Damn it, a battle servant is participating. What a joke. Xian Hai stood up and shouted angrily, Little battle servant, kneel down. Men, take him down. There were 4 figures in the surroundings, and they quickly walked toward Lin Xian. They all had chains of law in their hands, and they wanted to seal Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian's figure flickered, and he instantly arrived on the stage like lightning. The 4 of them were stunned. What a fast speed! Xian Hai was also stunned. You, get back! Xian Hai roared and activated the life and death curse. In his opinion, no matter how strong a battle servant was, as long as the life and death curse was activated, he would definitely die. However, this time, there seemed to be an exception. Lin Xian stood there, unaffected. How was this possible? Xian Hai's pupils shrank. Who was this person? Did he not plant the life and death curse on him? The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Sacred Ruler Star Palace stood up abruptly and exclaimed. Impossible. I personally brought him to Elder Three-Eyed. He must have planted the life and death curse. Boy, this is not a place where you can come. Quickly leave. As he spoke, he also used the life and death curse. However, Lin Xian did not have any reaction at all. Damn it, what was going on? Sacred Ruler Xingqian's pupils shrank. His opponent was really unaffected. Could it be that there was a problem with the life and death curse? Quickly go and invite Elder Three-Eyed here. Sacred Ruler Xingqian roared, and the surrounding people instantly flew into the distance. Most of the elders had come to such a grand event. There were also some elders who did not come, and Elder Three-Eyed did not come. Now that there was a problem with the life and death curse, they naturally invited him over. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at Sacred Ruler Xingqian. A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Then, he looked at Xian Hai again and said in a clear voice, "If I remember correctly, the martial arts competition invites everyone in the world. There are no special rules. Who said that I can't participate? Damn boy, can a battle servant be considered a human?" Sacred Ruler Xingqian roared. The others also had cold faces. Indeed, in their eyes, a battle servant was no different from an ant. At this moment, Xueqi spoke up. "Who said that he can't participate? I said that anyone can participate as long as they have the strength." The crowd was in an uproar. Fairy Xueqi was actually speaking up for the other party. Damn it, why? Many people went crazy. Xingqian's face also darkened. An ant was actually able to snatch away his face. I've inquired about this person. He's an array master and has helped Xueqi with a lot of array matters. That's why he can receive such treatment. An array master. Humph. A mere sacred ruler. No matter how strong he is, how strong can he be? Since he dares to go against me, I'll let him know what it's like to live a life worse than death. Xian Hai wanted to say something, but at this moment, the Holy Heaven's old ancestor spoke up. All right, let him participate. If this continues, it will only embarrass us even more. This is against the rules. However, Black Ice's old ancestor also nodded and let him participate. He would not pass anyway. Xian Hai did not say anything else. The surrounding people were shocked. A battle servant was participating in the martial arts competition for a spouse. If this news spread, it would definitely shock the world. Mo Fan sneered. He had already received his senior brother's message. He would not let the other party go. Was he only a saint venerable? Too weak. I can kill you with a single finger. But don't worry, I won't really kill you. I'll cripple your cultivation and break your limbs so that you can continue to live like an ant. After saying that, he laughed proudly. It's too early for you to be happy. You're just a half-step sacred ruler. I don't care about you. I advise you to quickly kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. Then, I'll spare your life. Chapter 4475. What did you say? Mo Fan was stunned. Everyone was stunned. A sacred venerate was threatening a half-step sacred king. Furthermore, it was a peak half-step sacred king. What was this kid thinking? If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Mo Fan reached out his finger and pointed forward. Countless purple flames were dancing on it. The surrounding void shattered in an instant, unable to withstand this power at all. The people from the other grotto heaven sneered. Under this attack, this guy's soul would probably be destroyed. If an ant dies, then so be it. There's nothing to feel pity about. The surrounding people sneered. Facing the attack, Lin Xian put away his smile and attacked with lightning speed. He grabbed the finger with his palm. Crack! The finger broke, and a miserable cry rang out. Lin Xian broke the other party's arm with another palm. Ah! Sacred blood fell, piercing through heaven and earth. Mo Fan retreated in a sorry state, and his handsome face became sinister. The pain made him go crazy. You dare to hurt me? I'll kill you. At this moment, he could no longer care about anything else. His arm instantly recovered, and he slashed forward. Everyone was stunned. This guy was so strong that he could injure Mo Fan. Mo Fan must have been careless. Just watch, he would definitely die. Buzz! The saber flashed, and everyone's expressions changed. Whether it was Han Chong, Yu Hui, or Meng Hao, they were all defeated by this saber. This was especially true for Han Chong and Yu Hui. They had seen Lin Xian in the true spirit world before. They knew how terrifying this guy was. He was a top expert of a world. But so what? He had come to the buried Emperor Star to fight. Pooh! Now, did he want to change his fate? It was impossible. They all shook their heads and sneered. I said that you're not my match. Seeing that Mo Fan continued to attack, Lin Xian shook his head and slapped again. This guy was crazy. That was the weapon of a sacred king. The surrounding people exclaimed. This guy's arm would be broken immediately. No matter how strong his body was, a sacred venerate couldn't block the weapon of a sacred king. Clang! The palm and the saber collided. The palm didn't break, and instead, it grabbed the saber. Then, Lin Xian's other palm slapped over. A palm landed on Mo Fan's face. Mo Fan was sent flying like a kite with its string cut. His teeth scattered across the ground, and half of his face was smashed into pieces. This saber is not bad. It's a pity that it was used by you. What a waste. Lin Xian held his saber in a reverse grip and slashed out. Mo Fan rose to his feet. He was about to lose his temper when he was slashed in half. He roared madly as his soul escaped. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? Do you know who I am? Before he could finish his words, another slap landed on him, and his soul dimmed. Didn't you say you wanted to break my limbs? Cripple my cultivation. I'll fulfill your wish. Whing. The saber slashed at the soul. The saber shook as if it was roaring. Endless purple flames burned. However, it couldn't leave Lin Xian's palm. Damn it, how dare you! The people of Misty Peak were enraged. They pointed out their stardust finger and terrifying starlight surrounded them as they charged towards Lin Xian. At the same time, the elders of the Thousand Mountain Cave also made their move. The two Saint Kings descended together, enveloping Lin Xian. A terrifying aura surged. Xueqi cried out in alarm and quickly retreated. Lin Xian blocked the starlight with his saber, but he didn't make a move. What? Are you going to ignore the rules in front of the whole world? Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven's face has been completely disgraced by you. Stop! The Holy Heaven's old ancestor roared furiously. A monstrous aura of the great sage surged out and swept out in all directions. Everyone stopped. No one dared to make a move against Lin Xian. Xian Hai's expression changed. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor couldn't be allowed to live. He had gone too far. He actually dared to hit the people of Misty Peak. It's hard to avoid mistakes in the arena. However, even if he deserves to die, we shouldn't be the ones to do it. Once this matter is over, we will personally deliver him to Misty Peak and let them deal with him. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor gave face to Misty Peak and protected Lin Xian at the same time. To be honest, he was only protecting Lin Xian because he wanted to make things difficult for Black Ice Ancestor. After all, if Black Ice Ancestor really joined hands with Misty Peak, it would be very disadvantageous for him. Therefore, he couldn't let this matter go smoothly. He had secretly sent that black-robed sage. Now that Lin Xian had displayed such great strength, he couldn't let Lin Xian die. Lin Xian was stunned. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor was protecting him. He didn't know the Holy Heaven's old ancestor at all. However, after thinking about it, he understood. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Did I pass? Xian Hai gritted his teeth and said, "You passed." The surrounding people were stunned. They had never thought that a battle servant with the cultivation of a saint venerate would successfully pass the test. How could this guy be so strong? He had actually defeated Mo Fan. Not only that, but he had also taken the Holy King's weapon with his bare hands. This guy's body was at least at the level of a Holy King. Is he really a Holy Venerate? I have a feeling that he was hiding his strength. Many people exclaimed. What's going on with this battle servant? The people from Thousand Mountain Cave also started to investigate. They wanted to find Lin Xian's secret. Xueqi also heaved a sigh of relief. As long as the elders didn't attack together, Lin Xian shouldn't have any problems. She might have seen Lin Xian kill a Holy King elder with her own eyes. She quickly stood out and said, "All right, I'll pass the test, to prevent these people from investigating Lin Xian's secret." All right, only 3 people passed the test. Next, I will fight with these 3 people. If you can defeat me, you can be my husband. The final battle was about to begin. The crowd held their breaths. They wondered who among the 3 would be able to defeat Xueqi. Someone sneered. Needless to say, it would definitely be Xingqian from Misty Peak. Apart from him, was there any possibility for the other 2? As for the battle servant, he probably wouldn't be a match for a Holy King. As for the black-robed man, he was extremely mysterious. However, young Master Xingqian wouldn't let him off. Let me go first. As Xueqi's voice echoed out, a person came to the arena. It was the black-robed man. Xingqian furrowed his brows. Who is this person? He unexpectedly dared to steal my limelight. In all honesty, he had only wanted to fight because he didn't want any undue delay. But now, the black-robed man had already gone, and it was too late for him to say anything. I want to see what kind of power you have that you dare to steal from me. Xingqian sneered coldly. Xueqi's expression was ice-cold as she looked at the black-robed man. This black-robed man was extremely mysterious and strange. She had to be careful. She couldn't lose this battle, and she couldn't afford to lose it. However, it was fortunate that she was now the 9 Yin tribe's inheritor. Her power was greater than before. She waved her hand, and a blue sword appeared in her hand. Black frost started spreading out from the sword. She was really a peerless fairy. When Xueqi used her laws, the black-robed man's eyes shone brightly. Chapter 44-76. He was quite swift, and he tore through the void and arrived in front of Xueqi. A gale swept out, and his palm descended mercilessly. Bang! The void in the surroundings was shattered, and the spectators in the vicinity felt an indescribable pressure. This clearly showed how terrifying this strike was. This was a Saint King's all-out strike, and it was obvious that the black-robed man wanted to end the battle quickly. Xingqian took a deep breath, and he couldn't help but get worried. The black-robed man's power was beyond his imagination, and he wondered whether Xueqi could block him. If she was defeated, it would be difficult to resolve the situation. He was so quick. Xueqi was surprised, and she slashed out with the blue sword in her hand. She blocked the black-robed man's palm. When the 2 weapons collided, it was as if a saint weapon had collided, and the power that erupted out was as bright as the sun. So strong, this person's physique is actually so tyrannical. Xueqi was surprised. Black frost suddenly erupted from her sword, and it swept toward the black-robed man's palm. It quickly froze it and sealed it in ice. The black-robed man's body was quite powerful, but her ice was even more terrifying. Crack! Crack! In the twinkling of an eye, the black-robed man's palm was covered by black frost, and the frost even started spreading toward the black-robed man's body. The black-robed man's pupils contracted. The frost made him feel as if his entire arm was going to break. The power of the laws in his body started circulating, and it became extremely slow. Hateful! The black-robed man roared as he punched the black-robed man's arm with his other hand. The black-robed man's arm cracked open, and the frost was also shattered. At the same time, the black-robed man lashed out with his foot, which seemed like a heavenly blade. Shui-Chi quickly retreated. The power contained within the kick was terrifying, and she didn't dare to face it head-on. As she retreated, boundless black frost formed a pair of black wings on her back. The wings spread out, and as they fluttered, the frost that filled the sky engulfed the 9 heavens. The frost was formed by the 9 body, and it was much more powerful than ordinary frost. It was even more terrifying than the mysterious ice art. When the black frost appeared, the expressions of everyone present changed drastically. They all felt as if their bodies and souls were about to be sealed in ice. How could this frost be so terrifying? He had just advanced to the Saint King realm, and his power shouldn't be so terrifying. The Paradise's experts were all startled. Even Xian Hai was startled. This isn't right, as this isn't the mysterious ice art. He also cultivated the profound ice incantation, so he was naturally very clear about this kind of power. Therefore, he looked at Black Ice Ancestor in confusion. Black Ice Ancestor, as the creator of the Black Ice technique, also shook her head. That's right, this was not the power of the Black Ice extinction. However, it was much stronger than the Black Ice tactics. It was obvious that Qi had obtained some kind of good fortune in the land of frost. Father, what do you think of this battle? Xian Hai asked nervously. Black Ice Ancestor's eyes flickered. I was worried before. After all, Qi had just broken through and her realm was not stable. But now, after seeing the black frost, I was relieved. Qi had won this battle. As expected, the sky was filled with ice. The black-robed man's expression changed. The threat of the ice caused his heart to beat wildly. Moreover, he had come here in disguise, so it was impossible for him to use his most proficient divine ability. Otherwise, his identity would be exposed in an instant. At that time, he would end up in a miserable state. Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy, and his eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying radiance. Endless precepts gathered in his hand, forming a flower of the great path. Then, a cold voice sounded. Wither. The flower of the great path quickly withered, and a cold aura swept out in all directions. The people in the surroundings felt their scalps go numb. What kind of power was this? It was so terrifying. It could take away all life. Lin Xian also frowned. It was quite similar to his death precepts. It was indeed a very dangerous divine ability. Shui-Chi also felt it, and the black wings on her back released ice that blocked everything. The world was frozen. Endless black runes appeared on her body, and they emitted a mysterious aura. At this moment, the ice was even more terrifying. It was as if she had turned into an ice god, and it swept out in all directions. The world was frozen, and the surroundings were sealed in ice. The black-robed man's precepts froze in the void, and endless ice appeared on his body. In the end, he had no choice but to escape with his soul, which was why he was not sealed in ice. However, his body had already been sealed in the arena. The black-robed man smiled bitterly. I admit defeat. Xueqi waved her hand, and the ice in the sky disappeared. The black-robed man's soul and body recovered, and he walked down from the arena. Soon after, he tore open the void and disappeared. What a powerful ice! Is this the black ice tactics? Many people cried out in alarm. The people in the vicinity were all dumbfounded. Xueqi's power was beyond their expectations. Even some of the veteran saints were surprised. The power that she had displayed didn't seem like someone who had just made a breakthrough. The ethereal peaks people smiled, and Xingqian nodded. It was his turn to fight. He would defeat Xueqi and marry her. Hateful. Yan Mo frowned, and his expression became gloomy. The holy heaven's old ancestor also frowned, as he was the one who had sent that person. He had thought that defeating Xueqi wouldn't be a problem. However, the ice that Xueqi had displayed was beyond his expectations. She hadn't used the ice tactics, and his plan had failed. On the other side, the black ice ancestor transmitted her voice to Hi, go and ask someone to follow that black-robed man. I suspect that someone is secretly attacking him. Xian Hai nodded and sent someone to follow the black-robed man. Xingqian walked down from the arena. He wore armor, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He looked like a young god of war, and many people looked up to him. Don't worry. I won't injure you in this battle. Xingqian came to the arena and said with a smile. Xueqi snorted coldly. Please call me by my name. I don't know you that well. Moreover, you won't be able to win this battle. Xueqi snorted coldly, and she waved the long sword in her hand. The black ice that filled the sky swept out once again. Let me show you my Star Clan's secret technique. Starlight illuminated the heavens and earth. Xingqian roared, and the mountains shook. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Boundless starlight rushed out of his body, and it illuminated the 9 heavens. It turned into terrifying sword energy, and it descended from the sky. When the starlight and the ice collided, it was as if 2 worlds were fighting. Countless cracks spread out in all directions. Xingqian is so powerful. He is even more terrifying than the black-robed man. I wonder if Xueqi will be able to resist him. She won't be able to resist him. She is destined to become Xingqian's woman. The ethereal peaks people sneered coldly, as they were confident in Xingqian's strength. Ice seal. Xueqi was like an ice goddess, and she used her ice to freeze the entire world. The starlight in the sky was also sealed in midair. Dugaju was surprised. He knew that the Star Clan starlight was extremely terrifying, and ordinary ice couldn't resist it. Even the ice tactics couldn't seal it. Chapter 4477. Xingqian was also taken aback. She's really worthy of being my woman. She's really powerful. When the time comes, we will get married and join forces. We will surely be able to sweep the whole world. Even though his magical power was sealed by ice, Xingqian was still calm and confident. He formed a seal with his palms and shot out a Milky Way shadow. Countless starlight revolved around it, and it seemed like a starry sky was pressing down. The Milky Way shadow shattered the ice and frost that filled the sky. The boundless power contained within it was extremely terrifying. The Milky Way seal pressed down from the sky. Wherever it passed, the black ice and frost would shatter. However, when it came close to Xueqi, the Milky Way seal was blocked. It seemed like it couldn't advance any further. When the Misty Peaks members saw this, they furrowed their brows. The ice was really strange. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. It seemed like Xueqi had just gotten the 9 yin inheritance. Otherwise, it would be easy for her to seal Xingqian with her Sage Realm cultivation and the 9 Yin inheritance. After Xueqi blocked the Milky Way seal, she started to counterattack. Countless black ice and frost turned into a rain of arrows that flew out and penetrated the sky. The Milky Way shadow was sealed. Moreover, the rain of arrows flew toward Xingqian. It seemed like it wanted to seal him as well. The armor on Xingqian's body shone brightly as he formed a seal with his palms and roared toward the sky. A Milky Way appeared on his body, and it revolved around him. Boom! 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 The black ice and frost that filled the sky bombarded the Milky Way, and a terrifying sound echoed out. The Milky Way shadow shook, but it didn't shatter. What a powerful defense! The Thousand Mountain Paradise's members exclaimed in surprise. The Milky Way shadow was too terrifying, and it seemed like it could block everything. The other Paradise's members were also surprised. Xueqi was already in an invincible position. They wondered how Xueqi would continue to fight. Lin Xian furrowed his brows, and a golden radiance appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, a smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. It seemed like Xingqian would suffer a loss. He discovered that even though the ice and frost that filled the sky was blocked, it was arranged in a special pattern. Even though it was well hidden, as an expert in the art of formations, he was able to discover it in an instant. The 2 black wings on Xueqi's back turned into ice and frost, and they flew out. In the end, the black wings disappeared, and the Milky Way shadow. After passing through countless layers of frost, the starry river became dim and lightless. Then, it cracked open. However, Stardust laughed loudly as he walked out. He realized that his opponent's ice attack had been completely blocked. It seemed like Xueqi had consumed a lot of her energy to cast such a magical ability. Therefore, it was time for him to counterattack. The Milky Way seal appeared in his hand again, and he swung it forward. The Milky Way seal blossomed with radiance, and the power that erupted from it was incomparable. It seemed to be even stronger than before. This Stardust had been fighting for so long, yet he still had such strength. Could it be that he had been hiding his strength before? Countless cries of surprise rang out. They knew that Xueqi was in danger. However, at this moment, a smile appeared on Xueqi's pale face. She formed a seal with her palm. The formation was activated. With a low bellow, the scattered frost in the surroundings suddenly began to revolve, emanating a brilliant radiance that formed a massive formation that shrouded the entire area. Icebound Array. As soon as it was formed, the terrifying ice completely enveloped the Stardust. Stardust let out a crazy roar. The armor on his body became dim in an instant. It seemed like he was going to be completely frozen. It was unexpectedly a formation. Moreover, it was an extremely terrifying formation. When did he set it up? The people in the surroundings were all dumbfounded. Why didn't they discover it before? The pupils of the Misty Peaks people also contracted. Dugaju's eyes shone with a cold light as he realized that this was the case. After thinking about it for a moment, he discovered that the icy arrow rain wasn't just a powerful magical ability attack, but it also contained the power of a formation. After the attack was destroyed, the formation quietly condensed again. He had heard that Xueqi wasn't just an apex expert, but she was also an expert in formations. Now, it seemed like the rumors weren't false. It seemed like Stardust had been careless. However, with Stardust's trump card, he shouldn't have lost. Stardust's expression became ice-cold, and a ferocious look appeared on his face. Hateful. He unexpectedly used a formation to attack me. He was completely infuriated. As a roar echoed out, starlight rushed out of his body. A stardust stone formed between his eyebrows, and it blossomed with an unparalleled radiance. It seemed like he had turned into the most dazzling star in the world. As the power in his body erupted, it swept out in all directions and tore a crack in the formation. He had become even more powerful. Many people cried out in alarm. The formation's terror had already left them in despair. They hadn't expected that he would be able to break through the formation's restriction. Everything had come to an end. Stardust flew out of the formation's crack and charged toward Xueqi. He stretched out a finger, which was surrounded by a ray of starlight. It was the star spirit finger. It was said that this finger could shatter the boundless starry sky, and it was one of the Misty Peak's most terrifying magical abilities. They hadn't expected that he would use it at this moment. The battle had come to an end. A smile appeared on Dugaju's face. Mo Fan and the others from the Misty Peak also smiled. They had won. The others also sighed. Even though they had been defeated by such a magical ability, it was still an honorable defeat. Xueqi took a deep breath. She could clearly sense how terrifying this finger was. However, she wouldn't lose. In the next moment, her body kept changing, and she left behind countless icy afterimages as she extended her jade-like hands. Nine Divine Claw. Buzz. 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 A terrifying black shadow streaked across the sky, and a roar echoed out as stardust flew out. Scratches appeared on his body, and his body was penetrated. Fresh blood instantly flowed out of his body. What happened? Everyone was startled. Dugaju stood up, and a terrifying radiance burst out of his eyes, which seemed capable of penetrating the heavens and the earth. Yuehua, Mo Fan, and the others were also startled. Was the star spirit finger broken? What was that black shadow a moment ago? What is this? The Thousand Mountain Caves elders were also startled. Even the two old ancestors furrowed their brows. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Could it be the Nine Divine Claw's most powerful technique? He had obtained the Nine Sons' Divine Claw's inheritance, and he knew that it wasn't as simple as the divine body. There were also some terrifying powerful techniques. It seemed like the technique that Xueqi had just used was one of those techniques. You have lost. Xueqi withdrew her palm and spoke coldly. On the other side, Stardust, who had fallen below the arena, couldn't believe what had happened. How is this possible? He had been defeated. He had become a Saint King 3 years ago, and he had practiced the Misty Peak's cultivation techniques and lost techniques. How could he have been defeated? Stardust gritted his teeth and roared. He had just stood up, but the wounds on his body suddenly opened up. His face turned pale, and he couldn't use his power. Not only had he been injured, but his wounds also contained a powerful icy aura that froze the laws and meridians in his body. Chapter 4478. Wang. Dugaju took a step forward and arrived before Xingqian. He looked at Xingqian and checked his injuries. Then, his face turned cold. It was even more serious than he had imagined. He took action, striking out with the power of laws. At the same time, he took out a secret pill. Quickly bring him back to rest. Mo Fan and the others quickly helped Xingqian to his feet and brought him to the side. Dugu Wuji asked coldly as he looked at Xueqi. What cultivation technique did Xueqi use a moment ago? It did not seem to be a martial art from the Thousand Mountain Cave. The others were also puzzled and looked over. Xueqi said that she had gone to the cold mountain before, and she had obtained some good fortune there. Since the Misty Peak has many abilities, they shouldn't be interested in my little summoning. Stardust has already lost. I think he no longer has the qualifications to marry me. Xueqi looked at Dugaju. Dugaju's face darkened. The surrounding people also held their breaths, not daring to say anything. After a while, Dugaju finally spoke. But of course, the people of Ethereal Peak were true to their words. Since they had lost, they had lost. Puff! Xing Chen, who was in the midst of recuperating from his injuries, spurted a mouthful of blood upon hearing those words, and his face turned incomparably pale. Damn it! This time, he really lost all his face. However, he swore that next time, he would definitely defeat her and marry her. Who would have thought that young noble Stardust would fail? That's right, it seems like the groom selection contest has come to an end. No one could marry Fairy Xueqi. I'm guessing that young Master Stardust will definitely make a comeback next time. Sighs could be heard as everyone seemed to have forgotten about Lin Xian's existence. It was as if Stardust's failure was the end. At this moment, Xueqi said, "You seem to have forgotten a person. I will challenge the third person. Is there anyone else?" "Right, it's that battle servant." Even young Master Stardust had been defeated. How could he possibly succeed? That's right, going up there would only be suicide. The people of Ethereal Peak shook their heads. The people from the other heavenly abodes were also surprised. They couldn't understand why Fairy Xueqi was so persistent. Could it be that she thought highly of this battle servant? The elders of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven naturally thought of this as well. They felt that it was a fantasy. Xian Hai said, There's no need for a battle servant. You can't say that. Since he's already here, I'll give him a chance. The Yan Mo also laughed coldly. The people they had secretly sent had failed. However, this Lin Xian seemed to have a good understanding of formations. Perhaps he would be able to achieve unexpected results. Damn it! Xian Hai gritted his teeth. On the ground, Xueqi looked at Lin Xian and said, "Come up. Let's fight the final battle." Lin Xian stood up and walked forward. He came to the arena and ignored the gazes of the others. Lin Xian said as he looked ahead. "Bring out your full strength, I won't hold back either." He was looking forward to the battle between the 9 Yin and 9 Yang. What kind of scene would it be? Xueqi nodded. In the next moment, the 9 Yin body was activated, and endless black frost appeared on her body. On the other side, Lin Xian roared at the sky. The 9 Suns' divine flame appeared on his body, and a scorching aura swept out in all directions. Half of the sky was instantly covered. What kind of aura was that? So valiant. The crowd was disdainful at first, but when they felt the aura of that power, they were shocked. They were all stunned. This person's physique was too unusual. He had mastered some ancient body-refining technique. Countless people were shocked. The elders were also stunned. Dugaju's eyes shone with a cold light. The 2 great sage were also shocked. How could this battle servant be so strange? Black Ice Ancestor frowned. The Holy Heaven's ancestor, who was next to her, smiled. He wanted to see the scene after the victory. "Be careful, I'm going to attack with my full strength," Lin Xian said in a low voice. Then, he stomped his foot and charged forward. He didn't use any laws or magical powers. He only used the power of his divine body to attack. His fist seemed to have turned into a sun, and it swept across the sky, shattering the void. On the other side, Xueqi also attacked, and her black palm struck out. Boom! 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 The confrontation between the two's physiques was extremely strong. Cracks appeared on the entire arena, which shocked the crowd. Nothing happened when they fought with Xingqian. However, at this moment, the arena was shattered. It was unbelievable. Boundless ice appeared on Lin Xian's body and froze him. The 9 suns' divine fire swept across and melted the black ice. Not only that, but the flames also enveloped Xueqi. The black wings on her back blocked the attack. However, she had just obtained the 9 body. Her physique was definitely inferior to Lin Xian's. However, her cultivation was much higher than Lin Xian's. She was a holy king. Therefore, the two were evenly matched. Boz. Lin Xian seemed to have turned into a sun god of war. His golden fist was invincible. The people in the surrounding heavens were dumbfounded. The geniuses in the heavens felt despair. Is he really just a battle servant? Why do I feel like he has surpassed us? They all lowered their heads in front of such power. Is this guy really so strong? Mo Fan and the others from the Misty Peak felt their scalps go numb. Mo Fan was furious when he was defeated, and he wanted to take revenge. He thought that Lin Xian had been careless. However, after witnessing this battle, he didn't have any thoughts of taking revenge anymore. He reckoned that he wouldn't be able to withstand even a single punch from such a terrifying attack. On the other side, Xueqi's body was encircled by ice. She seemed like an ice goddess. She opened a world of ice and frost. As soon as the monstrous fist entered her domain of ice and frost, it slowed down. Bang! Their fists and palms collided, and a deafening sound echoed out. The laws turned into divine chains that tore the sky apart. They exchanged hundreds and thousands of blows in a row, and everything in their path was shattered. The crowd was shocked when they saw this. Be careful, I'm about to use my trump card. Xueqi warned him as she used the 9 divine claw. A black shadow streaked across the sky, and Lin Xian felt as if his body was being violently attacked. It was as if a sacred weapon had struck his body, and it was about to tear it apart. He roared as the 9 suns opened the sky. He opened his palms and tore apart the void. Heaven and earth were instantly split open, and a large crack extended into the distance. At this moment, Lin Xian attacked forcefully, and the black shadow that filled the sky was instantly torn apart. Not good, the strongest absolute art was actually broken. The people from the Thousand Mountain Wonderland cried out in alarm. This was the same attack that had defeated Xingqian. However, it was helpless against Lin Xian now. Is Xueqi going to be defeated? Lin Xian waved his fists, which carried an invincible aura. At this moment, his divine body emitted a dazzling radiance, and when he waved his 9 fists, the sky and earth were shattered. Nothing could obstruct him. Xueqi could only defend herself passively. 9 layers of ice formed on her body to block his attacks. In the end, the ice that filled the sky was shattered, and she was knocked back. Her face was pale. Xueqi had been defeated. Chapter 44-79. How is this possible? The Misty Peak was stupefied. Xingqian even spouted a mouthful of blood. No! He roared crazily. No one had expected such an outcome. Xueqi had been defeated. Moreover, the victor was a battle servant. Are you all right? Lin Xian looked at Xueqi, who was below the arena, and asked concernedly. Xueqi shook her head and said, I'm all right. Your body is really strong, and I will surely catch up to you one day. She revealed a beautiful smile. Soon after, she said, you have won. From now on, you will be my husband. This voice was like 10,000 claps of thunder, causing everyone to be stunned. Xian Hai jumped out and said, I don't agree. Xingqian also roared, I also don't agree. How can you marry a battle servant? No way, am I dreaming? Damn it. Is Xueqi really going to marry a battle servant? Is this a joke? The people in the surroundings went into an uproar. The Thousand Mountain Paradise's people went crazy. If this matter spread, they wouldn't have any face left. Xueqi said coldly, "Why can't I? I said that I will marry anyone who defeats me. Now, Lin Xian defeated me, so I must fulfill my promise. I don't believe that you didn't want to marry me, so you came up with such a plan. You lost to him on purpose." Xingchen roared. He couldn't accept this. "That's right. We also found it suspicious. You can't be weaker than him." "What? Do you want to go back on your word? Do you want to go back on your word in front of everyone?" Lin Xian laughed loudly and looked at Xingchen. "You don't accept it. Come over here and fight. I will show you the disparity between us." Is this guy challenging the Misty Peak? The people in the surroundings felt like they had gone crazy. Xingchen was so angry that he clenched his teeth and walked over. However, Yu Hua said, "You can't do that. You were just injured, and your power isn't at its peak. Lad, do you want to take advantage of him?" Upon hearing this, Lin Xian laughed heartily. "Take advantage of him? He is a saint king, while I am just a saint venerable. We are fighting fairly, yet you still think that he is at a disadvantage. The Misty Peak, he thought, is so cowardly. Fine, I will only use one hand. Do you dare to come over?" At this moment, Lin Xian was like a peerless overlord, laughing arrogantly in all directions. "You're courting death. I will kill you with my own hands." Stardust was completely enraged. He was a peerless heaven's favorite who was above the grotto heavens. Now that he was being challenged by a battle servant, how could he not fight? His figure flickered and he flew out. "Speaking of which, come on brat, I will let you know the consequences of offending me." With one hand behind his back, Lin Xian said, "I'll give you a handicap with one hand. Otherwise, you people from the Misty Peak will think that I'm taking advantage of your precarious situation." Xingchen snorted coldly. He didn't say anything else and directly attacked. Galaxy Seal. He formed a seal with his palm and struck out. A river of stars condensed in his palm. With a single strike, it tore through the heavens and earth. Stardust didn't hold anything back in this attack. Lin Xian attacked with a single hand. His palm formed a seal, and the man-ruler seal also struck out. At this moment, he was incomparably domineering, as if a celestial emperor had descended. Boom! Their superpowers collided in the air. With a crack, the galaxy seal shattered. The man-ruler seal swept out with the momentum of Mount Tai. Boom! Xingchen's face changed drastically and he frantically retreated. In an instant, his arm was broken and turned into a blood mist. Half of his body was completely shattered and he flew out. He lost. In just one move, Xingchen was seriously injured. Could it be that the gap between the two of them was really that big? Xingchen roared to the sky. "I'm going to kill you." His glabella split open and a wisp of starlight surrounded his finger. Star Spirit Finger. With the point of his finger, it tore through the void with a supreme aura. Lin Xian snorted coldly and struck out with the man-ruler seal again. That terrifying palm shattered the heavens and earth again. After one strike, the Star Spirit Finger turned into ashes. Xingchen's body was torn into pieces. His crazy roar made everyone's scalp tingle. The people from the Misty Peak were stunned. This guy really defeated Xingchen with one hand. Why? Do you still think that you're qualified to compete with me? Lin Xian looked at him with disdain. You! Xingchen was so angry that he vomited blood. Lin Xian said, "I've already given you a handicap with one hand and you're only a saint venerable. Are you still using your injuries as an excuse? If you're not convinced, I'll give you time to recover to your peak. But when the time comes, I'll fight you to the death. Do you dare? Xing Chen was completely stunned and he fainted from anger. His senior brother, Yu Hua, and the others also rushed over. You're courting death. Yu Hua waved her hand and a flying sword like a rainbow streaked across the sky. This was a sage artifact and Yu Hua was at the peak. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His 5 fingers formed a claw and directly grabbed the flying sword. Then, he enveloped it. With a crack, the illusion of a huge mountain appeared on his palm as if it had crossed time and space. Mountain embracing seal. It directly broke the flying sword into 2. Yu Hua vomited blood and flew backward. Her sage artifact was broken and she was also seriously injured. He opened his 5 fingers and the broken flying sword fell from his palm. Lin Xian looked around like a divine king. Who else is not convinced? Come out. At this moment, he was so domineering that ethereal peak could not raise their heads. Everyone was stunned and silent. Duguju's face was as cold as water. This time, he had lost a lot of face. I'm not convinced. Xian Hai walked out. You're just a battle servant. What right do you have to marry my daughter? What right do I have? Lin Xian sneered. I've won. Can't you see it? I defeated Xing Chen single-handedly. Are you blind? What right do you think I have? My strength. Strength is my right. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. He did not back down. You're courting death. Xian Hai snorted. Where's the 3-eyed elder? In the distance, a woman flew over. She was wearing a Taoist robe and had a 3rd eye between her brows. At this moment, she looked at Lin Xian and sighed. You're a top genius in other worlds. But here, you're still just a battle servant. So what if you win? Kneel down. The 3rd eye between her brows bloomed and formed a divine light that pierced through Lin Xian. The others were in despair. This guy's fate was really tragic. He was probably going to be completely suppressed. Lin Xian sneered and waved his hand, shattering the divine light. You want me to kneel? Just you? How is that possible? The 3-eyed elder was stunned. You're not affected. He used the life and death curse, but Lin Xian stood there with a cold face. He was not affected at all. How did you break the life and death curse? Lin Xian did not reply. He stood there with his hands behind his back as if he was going to be the enemy of the entire world. Damn it. Men, take him down. Xian Hai saw this and roared. Countless Saint Kings in the surroundings stood up. So what if the other party was strong? Could he fight against their entire grotto heaven? At this moment, the Elysian old ancestor snorted. Enough. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Chapter 4480. That's right. Elder Xian Hai, you went back on your words. What do you think of Thousand Mountain Grotto? Yan Mo also sneered. The 2 of them were also shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to win. Since that was the case, they would go with the flow. This way, Black Ice Ancestor would not be able to work with Misty Peak. To them, this was simply great news. They were naturally happy to see this happen. Xian Hai was about to vomit blood. The other party was an ancestor. He did not dare to go against him. He could only look at his father. Black Ice Ancestor's face was cold. This matter was too strange. This kid was not controlled by the life and death curse. I suspect that Xue Qi was deceived by him. He looked at Dugaju and said, Daoist Dugu, I've let you see a joke. However, I will give you a satisfactory explanation. After saying that, he stood up and looked around. Everyone, the martial arts competition has ended. Thousand Mountain Grotto has something to deal with. I hope you can make it easy for us. The people of the other grotto heavens and ancient race felt their scalps go numb when they heard this. They stood up and took their leave one after another. At the same time, they looked at Lin Xian with pity. This kid, so what if he won? He was still going to die. Just as everyone was about to leave, a cold snort sounded. Humph, Thousand Mountain Grotto, you have made me lose. Everyone was stunned. Who dared to challenge Thousand Mountain Grotto at this time? Xian Hai was also angry. Who was so courting death? Before he finished speaking, he was stunned. He realized that the person who spoke was Jian Wuk. Jian Wuk stood up and smiled. I said it. Do you have a problem with that? Xian Hai was sweating profusely. He did not dare to speak. Black Ice Ancestor frowned. Daoist Wuk, what do you mean? Jian Wuk said proudly. My meaning is clear. This young man defeated a sacred king with one hand as a sacred venerate. He was a heaven-defying expert. Even in Misty Peak, there were not many people with such talent. But you want to be a battle servant. And you want to destroy him. How stupid. If Thousand Mountain Grotto does not want such a genius, then Xiantian Pavilion will. Jian Wuk's words resounded in the surroundings. When the surrounding people heard this, they were all stunned. As for the sacred kings, their pupils constricted. Xiantian Pavilion. This name was so familiar, it was like a thunderclap reverberating in his ears. Because it was also a force that was not weaker than the Misty Peak. The only difference was that Ethereal Peak controlled this region while Xiantian Pavilion was the overlord of another region. He just didn't expect that the people from Xiantian Pavilion would actually come here this time. And he even said such words. Xueqi stood there and looked at Lin Xian, who was standing proudly in front of her. She heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, she was extremely nervous just now. If the Heavenly Grotto had made a move, she would have risked everything to fight against Lin Xian. Or even leave this place. Who would have thought that in the end, the Xiantian Pavilion's people would actually stand up and think so highly of Lin Xian? In the Black Sea, Yen Mo was stunned. Even the two patriarchs were stunned. Did Xiantian Pavilion think highly of him? Truth be told, it wasn't that they didn't know that Zhang Xian was a genius, but they were used to being high and mighty. It was only natural that they would find it intolerable to be injured by an ant in their eyes. So what if he was a genius? They would still trample him to death. But now, Xiantian Pavilion's words shocked them. If Xiantian Pavilion made a move to protect Lin Xian, they wouldn't dare to make a move. At this moment, Dugaju stood up. Daoist Wuk, I don't agree with your words. This young man is a peerless genius, but Ethereal Peak is filled with talents. There are too many people who can surpass him. Too many. Jian Wuk sneered. Then find one for me now. How could a holy venerate be able to compete with him? Then I will leave Xiantian Pavilion. Dugaju didn't say anything. To be honest, he really couldn't find one. A half-step holy king with a holy king's weapon could at most compete with a holy king. It was too difficult to defeat a holy king. Not to mention a holy venerate defeating a holy king with his bare hands. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Seeing that Zhang Xian was silent, Jian Wuk sneered. Then, he turned his head and asked, Little fellow, are you willing to join Xiantian Pavilion? Lin Xian raised his head and looked at Jian Wuk. He cupped his fists and said, Thank you, senior. I am willing. Although Lin Xian didn't know Jian Wuk, he could feel Jian Wuk's goodwill. This was completely different from the holy heaven's old ancestor helping him. Good. Jian Wuk laughed and took out a token. It was the Shantian token. From now on, you are a disciple of Shantian Pavilion. The people in the surrounding grottos were all stunned. Some of the geniuses' eyes even turned red. A disciple of Shantian Pavilion. This was the same as joining Ethereal Peak. This was their lifelong wish and dream. They had worked hard for their entire lives and still hadn't achieved this goal. Now, Jian Wuk had become a member of Shantian Pavilion so easily. Even Xian Hai's pupils shrank. This meant that Jian Wuk's status was different. Jian Wuk laughed. Why? Now, does a member of Shantian Pavilion have the right to marry Xueqi? What? Xian Hai was stunned. Elder Xian Bing also sighed. He closed his eyes and said helplessly, yes. Then, he looked at Duguju. Brother Dugu, it seems like Xueqi and young Master Xingqian aren't fated to be together. I will return all the gifts you gave me. After this matter, I will personally go to Ethereal Peak and apologize. Duguju snorted and waved his hand. The laws in the sky brought Xingqian, Yu Hua, and the others into the sky and left. Today was too embarrassing. Ethereal Peak was defeated by a battle servant to the point where they couldn't raise their heads. They didn't have the face to stay here anymore. Very good. Then, let's start preparing. I still want to attend the wedding. Jian Wuk laughed. Black Ice's old ancestor said, Brother Wuk, you must be joking. Although I have acknowledged the relationship between the two of them, the wedding isn't something that can be held in a day. Our 1,000 mountain grottos needs to prepare well. Alright, I will wait. Don't make Shantian Pavilion wait too long. Jian Wuk said coldly. Then, he looked at Lin Xian. Kid, report to Shantian Pavilion when you are free. Your token is a symbol of your identity. When you are in danger, you can use the array on the token to ask for help from Shantian Pavilion. Shantian Pavilion will immediately send experts over. I want to see who dares to go against Shantian Pavilion. The last words were for Black Ice's old ancestor and 1,000 mountain grottos. As expected, the people from 1,000 mountain grottos felt their scalps go numb. They didn't dare to fight against such a terrifying existence. Jian Wuk left, but the matter didn't seem to have stopped. After the people from the other grottos left, the news spread through the entire world. Countless people were shocked. They didn't expect the marriage by joust to be such a thing. They thought of countless possibilities. They even thought that the final winner would be Ethereal Peak. But things were out of their expectations. Chapter 4482. Xueqi, your husband has gone too far. Yan Hua looked at Xueqi. Xueqi shook her head. I don't think he's wrong. It's you who challenged me first. Alright, you've said so much. Don't you just want to attack me? I'll give you the chance. Lin Xian sneered coldly. Both of you, come at me together. You don't have the qualifications to make me attack you. Go and teach him a lesson, but don't kill him. Otherwise, Xueqi will be sad. Yan Hua sneered coldly. The old servant walked over from behind him. Lad, you want me to teach you a lesson? He stretched out his hand, which was surrounded by laws, and it seemed like a cage that descended from the sky. He was a saint king who had cultivated for a long time. Now that he attacked with his full power, his opponent wouldn't be able to resist him. He wouldn't kill him, but he would break his limbs and teach him a lesson. Xueqi furrowed her brows. This old man was too ruthless. However, she wasn't worried about Lin Xian. Lin Xian was someone who could defeat her, and his body had become even more powerful. Buzz! Lin Xian also punched out, and his fist turned into a sun. Boom! The old servant's hand shook, and it shattered. The old man's expression changed drastically. He was so powerful. He quickly retreated. However, it was already too late. Lin Xian attacked him with his palm once again. Since his opponent wanted to kill him, Lin Xian also didn't hold back. His attack engulfed his opponent. Boom! The old man was instantly smashed into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. His shattered body tried to heal, but Lin Xian shot out several rays of sword energy and pierced through him. He was nailed to the mountain peak. Ah! The old servant roared crazily, as he couldn't escape. An ad like you, who has lived for several thousand years, is still so weak. Yet, you still dare to attack me. I can only say that you don't know the difference between life and death. Lin Xian sneered coldly. He looked at Yan Hua and said, "Your servant is trash. Why don't you attack him yourself?" Yan Hua's expression was gloomy. He had wanted to teach his opponent a lesson, but he didn't expect that his opponent was so powerful. His old servant was a saint king who had been famous for 100 years, yet he still wasn't a match for his opponent. Even if he wanted to make a move, he wasn't confident that he could succeed. So he said, "Very good, kid, I'll remember you. Let my men go, I want to leave." "You want to leave? Fine, break your arms and give me your storage ring, then I'll spare your life." Lin Xian said. "What?" Yan Hua was instantly enraged. "Say that again." The other party actually wanted to hurt him. He even wanted to snatch his storage ring. Did this guy want to die? Lin Xian snorted. "What? Don't you understand what I'm saying? Since that's the case, I'll do it myself." With a sweep of his hand, he charged forward. The other party had already made a move on him, so how could he hold back? If this was not the first peak, he would have slapped the other party to death long ago. Lin Xian's palm was as golden as a god and as heavy as a mountain. The void could not withstand it at all. Yan Hua bellowed, shooting out a flaming battle diagram. Divine chains of laws surged from it to resist the attack. But in an instant, it shattered. His arms broke, and he let out a painful roar. Lin Xian had no intention of stopping. His palm was like the sky as it pressed down again. Yan Hua's body was bent, and with a plop, he knelt on the ground. His entire face became ferocious. Damn it, he was going crazy. How could the other party be so powerful? "I'll hand over my storage ring, and you'll stop." He did not dare to fight again. Lin Xian retracted his palm and sneered. "You should have done this earlier. Here." Yan Hua took out his storage ring and threw it to Lin Xian. Then, he quickly fled with his old servant. He did not leave the first peak immediately. Instead, he went to look for the elders guarding the first peak. After finding them, he said, "I want to kill that guy." Those elders were also hesitant. One of them said, "Young Master Yan Hua, we also want to attack him. But Princess Xueqi is by his side, so we can't do it. If we do, we'll break the rules. If the other party catches us, we'll probably be punished." Another elder said, "Young Master Yan Hua, your sixth uncle is currently cultivating in seclusion in the first peak. If he comes out of seclusion, he'll definitely be able to injure that kid." "Really? My sixth uncle is about to break through." Yan Hua's eyes lit up. He said, "Okay, I'll wait for my sixth uncle to break through. Keep an eye on that kid. Don't let him leave." The elders smiled and said, "Don't worry, although we can't make a move. Although we can't do anything, we can still find a reason to temporarily seal the first peak." The elders quickly moved and formed a formation to seal the first peak. On the other side, Lin Xian and Xue Qi came to a cave abode and began to cultivate. The spiritual energy here was too abundant, and there were mountains of natural treasures around. In addition, Lin Xian had just obtained 2 storage rings from Yanhua. It could be said that the resources here were very abundant. He took out all the natural treasures and then used the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul quickly devoured them. The spiritual energy and power in the sky turned into a vortex and rushed into Lin Xian's body. Xue Qi, who was next to him, was also stunned. The absorption of this power was too strong. She didn't dare to do it. Even if Lin Xian had a divine body, he wouldn't dare to do it. She was really worried about Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian didn't care. The awakening of the Great Dragon Sword Soul would require more power every time it leveled up. Now that he finally found a spirit vein like the first peak, how could he miss it? As a result, the first mountain started to shake violently. What happened? The elders of the first peak were also shocked. Even the people who were cultivating in the other cave abodes were also very confused. They thought that the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. At this moment, the sky darkened and countless lightning bolts gathered. Is he going to break through? They looked into the distance. Yanhua was also happy. That direction was where his 6th uncle was. In other words, his 6th uncle was going to break through. That was great. There was a middle-aged man in the cave in that direction. However, he suddenly opened his eyes. What's going on? The power around him was quickly disappearing. Who took advantage of it? She looked into the distance. At the same time, a formation appeared in Xue Qi's cave abode and concealed all information. It was at this moment that the lightning came crashing down. Lin Xian let out a long howl as he fought against it. Boom! 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 The people of the first peak were very quiet. They were all waiting silently. Because of the formation, they didn't know who was breaking through. Yanhua and the others believed that his 6th uncle was breaking through. The elders were also surprised. No way! Is he going to break through to the Great Sage King realm? These people were too shocked. Looking at the appearance of this lightning tribulation, it was extremely terrifying. After waiting for a long time, the thunder that filled the sky disappeared. Great! He succeeded. Yanhua was happy. His 6th uncle was going to become a great sage king. His strength would definitely undergo an earth-shattering change. A great sage king could kill a great sage king with one punch. Chapter 4483. After a short while, the cave opened, and a middle-aged man walked out. Congratulations, 6th uncle, for successfully breaking through and reaching the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Yanhua quickly bowed. However, the middle-aged man frowned and said, "Who told you that I broke through?" What? Yanhua was stunned. He looked carefully and found that his 6th uncle was still at the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Although his aura was much more powerful than before, he was not at the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Then, who was breaking through? He had seen thunder falling with his own eyes. The middle-aged man shook his head and said, "I don't know. It should be another elder." The middle-aged man was Yanhua. Confusion appeared in his eyes. Previously, when he was cultivating, he did feel a strange change. Then, he asked, "Why did you come to find me?" 6th uncle, there is a lad who is too hateful. help me teach him a lesson." He told him what had happened before, and he added some details. After Yan Hua heard this, he was instantly angry. "Are you trying to challenge us by acting so recklessly? I want to see how arrogant he can be." His cultivation power had been taken away by someone else, and he was already in a bad mood. Now that such a thing had happened, he naturally had to take action. In her opinion, no matter how strong a holy venerable was, could he be stronger than her? On the other side, the array in Xueqi's cave slowly disappeared. Xueqi looked forward nervously. Finally, she saw a figure walk out. Great, he had broken through. She could feel that Lin Xian's cultivation had reached the peak of the holy venerable realm. He would be a half-step holy king if he took another step. Lin Xian was also very satisfied. He could feel that his power had become stronger than before. Now, if he met Xingchen again, he could probably destroy his opponent's astral soul with a slap. "Let's go back," Lin Xian said. This time, the great dragon sword soul had absorbed too much power, causing the first mountain's power to weaken greatly. It would not be effective if he continued to stay here. Moreover, the changes in the first mountain would definitely be noticed by others. Lin Xian did not want his secret to be discovered. So, he prepared to leave. Xueqi, who was beside him, nodded. The two of them left the cave and walked outside. "Brat, you finally came out. I thought you were going to hide in there forever." At that instant, an icy voice could be heard. Lin Xian frowned and looked to the side. Yan Hua and the old servant were standing beside him. Other than that, there was also a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man's aura was even stronger. "Oh, what's wrong? Are you here to give me another storage ring? This time, I'm not just going to break your arms." "Damn it, do you want to die?" Yan Hua recalled how the other party had broken his arms, forced him to kneel, and even gave away his storage ring. He was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He said, "Sixth uncle, it's this detestable brat. You must help me teach him a lesson. Yan Hua, you've made trouble for me again and again. Do you really think I don't dare to do anything?" Xueqi also walked out. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll test out my current strength." Lin Xian walked out and looked at the middle-aged man. He said, "You want to attack me? However, you'd better think about the consequences of attacking me. You can't afford it. I've long heard that a very arrogant battle servant has come to the Thousand Mountain Cave. Today, I'll see what makes you so arrogant." Yan Hua was also angry. He took a step forward and an extremely cold light appeared in his hand. It looked like millions of rays of sunlight. His palm turned into a demonic dragon and swept out like a mountain range. The demonic dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it charged toward Lin Xian. It had to be said that Yan Hua's strength was much stronger than Yan Hua and the old servant. He was also an extremely terrifying existence in the early stage of the Saint King realm. Moreover, his strength had increased greatly after this closed-door cultivation. Therefore, he was very confident that he could kill Lin Xian with one blow. Buzz! A ray of sword energy appeared in Lin Xian's hand. It was the sun sword and he slashed forward. It collided with his opponent's palm. Suddenly, the surrounding mountains shook violently. Countless formations flickered in and out of existence. After one blow, Lin Xian was as steady as Mount Tai. On the opposite side, the middle-aged man's face turned completely ugly. He felt that his entire arm was numb. He could block Sixth Uncle's blow. Yan Hua's eyes almost popped out. He knew how terrifying his sixth uncle was. No one in the younger generation could compete with him. However, this kid blocked all of his attacks. Sixth uncle. This kid has some kind of super strong body refining technique. Don't fight him in close combat. Yan Huo reminded him. Sixth uncle nodded after hearing this. So that's why you're so arrogant. However, you're too naive. No matter how strong you are, you can't compete with a true Saint King. Watch me kill you with my magical power. He stretched out his hand again and kept forming seals. Countless laws condensed and formed a huge seal. Giant rock palm. As soon as it was slapped out, the surroundings were petrified. This guy was a rock element expert. The whole sky seemed to have turned into a cage and pressed down. Open for me. Lin Xian shouted angrily. He took a step forward and struck out the invincible sword. He opened and closed his hands, and the divine fire turned into a sword shadow with the power to split heaven and earth. Boom, boom, boom. The rock streaked across the sky, and cracks appeared. Then, it was torn apart. The invincible sword fell. Sixth uncle's pupils shrank, and he struck out 2 shields to block it. He blocked the invincible sword. However, at this moment, the invincible sword attacked again. This was also a terrifying magical power that was not weaker than the human ruler seal. With one blow, the opponent was sent flying. The armor on Sixth Uncle's body was shattered, and a crack appeared, almost splitting him in half. You! He couldn't believe it. Yan Huo was so scared that he almost knelt on the ground. His sixth uncle was defeated. Thinking of this, he kept retreating, trying to escape. Lin Xian sneered. He stomped his foot and activated the 10 ultimate sword formation, sealing the surroundings. You still want to escape? I said, take my wrath. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? At this moment, sixth uncle rushed out. His entire body turned into a rock, and there were even flames burning on his body. He formed a flaming rock giant that was incomparably powerful. Soaring flaming rock fist. This was his famous consummate skill, and no one of the same level could block it. Boz! Lin Xian waved his arm and struck out the mountain-embracing seal. A primordial demon mountain fell from the sky as if it was going to crush the sky. The terrifying fist was blocked, and then cracks appeared on his arm. Sixth uncle's body shook violently, and then it kept shattering. He finally couldn't resist under the primordial demon mountain. Lin Xian struck out the mountain-embracing seal again. The 2 primordial demon mountains completely suppressed the opponent. His strength is not bad, but that's all. Lin Xian said indifferently. He turned his gaze and looked at Yan Huo. Yan Huo almost knelt down. He said in horror, "What are you trying to do? Kid, I'm warning you, don't attack me." Chapter 4484. Now that you know how to be afraid, you still dare to threaten me. I already said that if you attack me again, I won't just cripple your arms. I will cripple you. What? Yan Huo was alarmed, and he quickly went to ask the elders for help. If this guy wanted to cripple him, it would be even more terrifying than killing him. The old servant wanted to retreat and ask for help. Xueqi waved her hand, and frost filled the sky and sealed the old servant in ice. The old servant's eyes widened. He was a Saint King expert, but he couldn't even withstand a single blow from Xueqi. The 10 Ju swords appeared in Lin Xian's hand, and they pierced through the old man's body. The great dragon sword soul's power roared, and it shattered the old man's laws and power. Yan Huo roared, and despair appeared on his face. He felt that his power had instantly disappeared. No! He had gone crazy. Lin Xian waved his hand and unleashed a seal to seal the other party. Then, he threw him into the Great Sage Pagoda. In the next instant, he crippled Yan Hua and sealed him again. As for the old servant, he directly killed him and turned him into a bloody mist. Then, he burned him with the 9 suns' divine flame. "Husband, how do you plan to deal with these 2 people?" Xueqi asked. Lin Xian replied, "Let's go back first." He waved his hand and removed the formation. Then, the 2 of them walked outside. The 2 of them went to the foot of the mountain. The 3 elders guarding the mountain were stunned. Why did this guy come out? Could it be that Yan Hua didn't look for trouble with this guy? Although they were puzzled, they had to remove the seal and let the 2 of them go out safely. After they went back, the 2 of them went to Xueqi's residence. Xueqi said that if they killed them, the Holy Heaven's old ancestor would know about it, and it would be very troublesome. Lin Xian nodded. He said that he didn't plan to kill them, and that he would go out in 2 days and find an uninhabited mountain range to suppress them for several thousand years. No one would be able to find them. "Do you want to go out?" Xueqi asked. Lin Xian nodded, and he took out a map from his storage ring. The map was emitting a faint radiance at this moment. That map was something that he had snatched from the people of the Violet Spirit Paradise. The fragment of the map had been sitting quietly in his storage ring. In the past few days, he had begun to shine. Lin Xian guessed that something must have happened to the place marked on the map. Therefore, he was prepared to investigate. But before that, Lin Xian still had some things to do. "Xueqi, tell me more about the Stellar Saints," he said. Xueqi nodded. She said that Star Saint King was a member of the Star Clan. However, his status in the clan wasn't high, so he could only stay in the heavenly abode. However, in the paradise, his status was not low. He was an elder, and his cultivation had reached the middle stage of Holy Venerate. It was said that he would soon reach the late stage. "Are you going to attack him?" She also knew that it was the Sacred Star Monarch who had captured Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "That's right, this guy dared to injure my senior brother and even dared to steal the peerless sword. I'll deal with him myself sooner or later." However, now wasn't the time. Indeed, although Lin Xian had reached the peak of Holy Venerate, the Sacred Star Monarch wasn't simple. He was an extremely terrifying existence in the middle stage of Holy King Realm, and he was even about to break through. Therefore, Lin Xian felt that it was best to break through and become a half-step Holy King before dealing with this guy. "You said that he had 3 disciples?" Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. "Then, I'll let him know what it feels like to have his disciples captured." "I know." Xueqi ordered someone to call these 3 disciples over. Half a day later, 3 people arrived. They stood in front of the main hall with puzzled expressions. They didn't know why Princess Xueqi was looking for them. After waiting for half a day, Xueqi didn't appear. However, a young man walked in. They frowned. They naturally knew this guy. It was Lin Xian. The second disciple asked, "Boy, where is Princess Xueqi? Why is she looking for us? Hurry up and tell Princess Xueqi that we are here," the third disciple said proudly. Lin Xian glanced at the 3 people before he sat down boldly. "Princess Xueqi won't see you, because I'm the one looking for you." "You?" The 3 disciples were taken aback. The eldest disciple asked, "Why are you looking for us? What's the matter?" Lin Xian sneered. "How dare you come to Princess Xueqi's residence without permission? Kneel down and accept your death." The 3 people's expressions changed. The eldest disciple said, "Hateful. We were invited here. Who can prove that?" Lin Xian stood up, and a cold killing intent emanated from his body. The second disciple said, "Boy, you want to take revenge, right? Our teacher captured you and made you a battle servant. Do you bear a grudge against him? Lin Xian nodded. That's right. Doesn't the Star Holy King like to go around suppressing people? I'll let him know what it feels like to have his disciple suppressed. He's courting death. Attack! The three people shouted angrily. They naturally knew that they had to leave this place quickly. The three people's speed was very fast. They didn't escape but charged directly at Lin Xian. One of them struck out with his palms, which were like two mountains. Another person struck out with a black hole, which enveloped Lin Xian. The third person formed a seal with his palms, and a terrible storm tore the void into pieces. The eldest disciple, who was the strongest among the three, was already an early-stage Holy King. The other two were half-step Holy Kings. The three of them attacked together, and the momentum was shocking. The place where Lin Xian was completely shattered. The three people looked at this scene and laughed proudly. What peerless genius! I think he's just a so-so. Let's go. The three of them turned around and were about to leave. However, at this time, they realized that a figure had appeared in front of them, blocking their way. How is this possible? The three people's expressions changed drastically. Isn't that the boy? They suddenly turned around and looked at the shattered void. Cold sweat flowed down their backs. That terrifying attack just now didn't hurt him at all. How did he dodge it? Mountain-embracing seal. Lin Xian waved his hand, and an ancient mountain directly fell from the sky, pressing down on the three people. Damn it! The three people roared. Eldest senior brother struck out with his palms, which were vast and could sweep away everything. However, in front of the ancient mountain, his arms were instantly broken. The other two half-step Holy Kings couldn't withstand it, and their bodies instantly turned into a bloody mist. The three people were completely suppressed. Damn boy, let us go. Do you believe that when my master comes, he will tear you into pieces? The three people roared. Lin Xian looked at the three people and sneered. Don't worry, your master will be here soon. He stood up and said in a clear voice. Someone, go and tell Star Holy King to come and pick up his disciple. Soon, a figure soared into the sky. Not long after, a roar was heard. This was too much. Star Holy King, carrying the supreme power of the stars, descended from the sky. He strode over. Chapter 4485. Kid, let go of my disciples. Don't you just want to take revenge? Fight me if you have the ability. Don't worry, it will be your turn soon. Lin Xian looked at the other party, his eyes filled with killing intent. I can't let go of your three disciples. They trespassed into Princess Xueqi's residence, so I've decided to cripple them. How dare you? Sacred King Xingqian roared. Lin Xian waved his hand. Why wouldn't I dare? The mountain-embracing seal erupted, completely crippling the three of them. The three of them fell to the ground and became crippled. Ah! The three of them roared, their eyes filled with despair. Master, kill him. Avenge us. Yes, we must tear him into pieces. Sacred King Xingqian's eyes instantly turned red. It wasn't easy for him to nurture these three disciples. Especially his eldest disciple, who was already a sacred king. His future achievements were limitless. But now, they were crippled just like that. You're courting death. Countless stars appeared on Sacred King Xingqian's body, and a terrifying killing intent swept out. Lin Xian took out the Xiantian token. He said, can you bear the anger of the Xiantian pavilion if you attack me? Sacred King Xingqian's face became even uglier, but he didn't act rashly. He was so angry. If he didn't have the Shantian Ridge, he would definitely be able to kill Lin Xian with a slap. He snorted, gritted his teeth, and said, "Do you think the Shantian token can protect you forever? This time, you challenged me first. Even if I attack you, the Shantian Pavilion won't say anything. Is that so? You can try." Lin Xian didn't care at all. At this time, Xueqi also walked out from the side. She said coldly, "Elder Xingqian, you've gone too far. Your 3 disciples came here without my permission. They deserve to be crippled. As for you, you didn't discipline your disciples well. How should you be punished?" Sacred King Xingqian's face became even uglier when he saw Xueqi walk out. He knew that if he didn't pay a price today, he wouldn't be able to walk out of here alive. Therefore, he said, "It's my fault for not teaching you well, and I'm willing to accept the punishment." Xueqi nodded and said, "Men, take the lightning code and execute the lightning punishment." Very quickly, someone respectfully took out a grimoire. It was surrounded by lightning. Clearly, it was a terrifying treasure. After Xueqi took it, she let Lei Dian float in the air and said, "Xingqian Elder, accept the lightning punishment." The sacred king of stars knelt on the ground, his back facing the thunder tome. As for Xueqi, she looked at Lin Xian and said, "There's a total of 360 strikes. You can execute them personally." Lin Xian nodded. He used the law of thunder. The tome of thunder shone brightly, and thunder and lightning flew out. Every strike was extremely terrifying. Even a saint king could not withstand it and could only allow the thunder to fall. Moreover, Lin Xian had used the power of the great dragon sword soul in this thunder. Therefore, after the 360 thunderbolts struck, Sacred King Star's body was bleeding profusely, and his wounds were unable to heal. He gritted his teeth and stood up, looking extremely ferocious. "Brat, don't think that you can continue to be arrogant just because you have the support of Princess Xueqi and the Shantian Pavilion. Do you see this sword? We have been searching for this person. Now that I've found news of him, I'll capture him and make him my battle servant. I really want to see your expression when the time comes." He took out the unparalleled sword. When Lin Xian heard this, he was instantly enraged. His eyes were filled with a terrifying killing intent. His opponent was still looking for the unparalleled Saint King. How despicable! He took a deep breath and said coldly, 1 year. In 1 year, I will challenge you to a duel of life and death. 1 year. I will wait. Sacred King Xingqian also roared. He finally had a chance to kill his opponent. No matter how strong his opponent was, how much could his strength increase in a year? His cultivation level was much higher than his opponent's. He could still kill his opponent in 1 move in 10 years, let alone 1 year. Xueqi frowned as she looked at Saint King Xingqian's back. Is it 1 year too short? Lin Xian shook his head. They have already started looking for my senior brother. I don't have much time. Xueqi said, "Don't worry, I will also help you look for your senior brother. I will also keep an eye on Sacred King Star. Yes, I will leave this to you. Oh yes, be careful. He is related to the Star Tribe. I don't think those people from Ethereal Peak will let this go. 10 days later, I will leave." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. In the following days, he went into seclusion to adjust his condition to his peak. Then, he left. When he left, Xueqi found Sacred King Star again. She did this to prevent Sacred King Star from secretly following and assassinating Lin Xian after learning about him. As long as Xueqi restrained Sacred King Star, Lin Xian would not be in danger. Sacred King Star could not leave, but he sneered in his heart. Not only did Sacred King Star offend him, but he also offended the Star Tribe. Did Sacred King Star think that he would be safe? He had already sent the news to Ethereal Peak. Ethereal Peak would definitely send experts to kill Sacred King Star. Ethereal Peak. At this moment, Ethereal Peak was in an uproar. This was because a mission was issued. As a disciple of Ethereal Peak, they could accept some missions and carry them out. At this moment, there was a mission. This mission was to kill a person. Countless people were watching because this mission was issued by the Star Tribe. This mission was too simple. It only required them to kill a late-stage Holy Venerate. What a joke. What kind of existence is Ethereal Peak? Is such an ant worthy of us taking action? Some geniuses were disdainful. However, there were also people who said, "You don't know. This guy is the guy who defeated Xingqian in Thousand Mountain Cave." They thought that the Star Tribe issued this mission for Xingqian. So it was this guy. Some people nodded and came to a realization. In this way, it could be explained. Although this guy was a late-stage Holy Venerate, his strength was equivalent to a Sage King. To be able to defeat Xingqian, he had some strength. However, I am not interested. Most people shook their heads. There were some who had the idea but did not dare to go. After all, Xingqian's strength in Ethereal Peak was not bad. Since he was defeated, what was the point of those who were weaker than Xingqian going? In the end, 3 people accepted the mission. These 3 were extremely terrifying experts. Their strength was even above Xingqian's. When Xingqian saw the 3 of them accepting the mission, he nodded his head. However, he still frowned. Is this okay? I don't want this guy to escape again. An elder at the side laughed. He is just a young man. No matter how strong he is just an ant in front of Ethereal Peak. The reason for this mission is to train the people of the Ethereal Peak. Furthermore, we will also send a middle-stage Sage King to guard him. Even if the first 3 fail, he won't be able to escape. At this moment, a ring on the elder's hand shone. The last array formation appeared and a message came from it. There is news from Thousand Mountain Cave. That guy has left the cave. We have also started to move. Chapter 4486. At the same time, a mid-stage Holy King from the Star Tribe also tore open the void and prepared to leave. On the other side, Lin Xian stealthily left the Thousand Mountain Cave and flew at a high speed. He rode the black earth and turned into a stream of light, shuttling through the void. After walking for about 2 days, he frowned. He felt that a pair of eyes seemed to be staring at him. Someone was coming. He knew that Holy King Xingqian would definitely not let it go. He wondered if it was someone from the Heavenly Mountain Cave or Misty Peak. He hoped that person's strength would not disappoint him. Looking at the mountains below, his figure flashed and he landed in the mountain range. After entering, Lin Xian killed a demonic beast and began to cook. Little White also jumped out and picked some spirit fruits in the surroundings, eating happily. The 2 of them did not seem to know that danger was coming. At this moment, the surrounding forest became oppressive. Countless gusts of wind swept through, and the entire sky was about to press down. A figure appeared on top of a large tree and looked down. Ants were ants. They did not even know that they were about to die. A cold voice came from above. Is he here? Lin Xian glanced at the other party and said indifferently, "Tell me your name." "I don't kill nameless people. I am Holy King Barbarian Spirit." A tall figure descended, and the ground cracked open, spreading in all directions. This person's physique was extremely terrifying. It emitted a metallic luster as if it was made of precious metal. There were endless patterns on it. His voice was like thunder, causing the void to tremble. When Lin Xian was sizing up the other party, Holy King Barbarian Spirit was also sizing up Lin Xian. As expected, he was a holy king. I really don't understand how you defeated Xingqian. Kneel down now and I'll give you a quick death. You don't have the right to say such words in front of me. Lin Xian shook his head and said, do you need me to use one hand? Kid, you're more arrogant than I thought. However, the consequences of angering me will be very miserable. Boz. Before he finished speaking, Barbarian Spirit turned into a bolt of lightning and charged over. From the looks of it, he wanted to engage in close combat with Lin Xian. As the palm fell, it was surrounded by divine chains of laws. The void was torn apart in an instant. Hundreds of black holes were formed, trying to devour Lin Xian. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. He punched out and transformed into a golden crow. Boom! A loud sound rang out, shaking heaven and earth. Sacred King Barbarian Spirit was sent flying. His arm was numb, and his body felt like it was about to split open. His eyes were wide open. What a strong physique. Was he really just a saint? He couldn't believe it. Lin Xian strode over with the man-ruler seal in his hand. I am indeed a saint venerable. You can't defeat me because you are too weak. If I were a saint king, I could kill you with a single glance. You're courting death. I was just careless just now. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit roared at the sky as a terrifying aura erupted from his body. His physique had also become stronger, and his figure had also become taller than before. I am a berserker spirit, and the power of my bloodline is not something you can imagine. Go to hell, kid. He turned into an even more terrifying ray of light and charged over with supreme power. So what if he was a berserker spirit? Lin Xian also charged over. The two of them fought in close combat, and the man-ruler seal swept out in all directions. After exchanging 3 blows, Sacred King Barbaric Spirit was sent flying, and he spat out blood. Cracks appeared on his body, and he kept swaying. Damn it, how is this possible? His eyes instantly turned red. No one had ever dared to compete with him in physique. A Saint Venerable had injured him. He couldn't believe it. What kind of physique did you cultivate? Fine, I'll let you die knowing. I cultivate the Divine Nine-Yang Body. The Divine Nine-Yang Body. It was one of the legendary super physiques in the galaxy. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's eyes instantly turned red. This was the legendary physique. He didn't expect this kid to have it. You're just a battle servant. How can you have such a peerless divine physique? Give me the cultivation method of the Divine Nine-Yang Body, and I can spare your life. He was really envious. He was about to go crazy. Although he was a berserker spirit and had a powerful physique, however, it was still incomparable to this legendary physique. If he could obtain the cultivation method of the Divine Nine-Yang Body, who would be his match in close combat in the future? With just you want to have ideas about the Nine-Yang Divine Body? Lin Xian smiled. The reason why I told you about my physique is because I know that you will definitely die. If he wasn't confident, Lin Xian wouldn't have revealed his secret. Divine fire continued to spread on his body, and he turned into a golden god of war. Crack! It seemed that he had to use some real methods. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit also activated his bloodline. He took out a mace from his storage ring that was as huge as a mountain. Boom! This attack was like a mountain. The sky and earth directly collapsed. No one could escape. However, at this moment, Lin Xian also struck out with the mountain-embracing seal. Descending from the sky, an immemorial demonic mountain directly pressed down. The mace instantly bent, and then with a crack, it shattered. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit was forced back and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Damn it, his physique was so strong, and he even had a peerless divine ability. He knew that he was no match for him and wanted to retreat. Lin Xian stomped his foot and charged forward. You still want to leave now? He struck out with the man-ruler seal again, like a god descending. Get lost. As Sacred King Barbaric Spirit retreated, he stretched out his hand and through the surrounding mountains. Dozens of mountains fell from the sky, causing the entire world to turn dark. Invincible sword. A sword light flashed, splitting the world in half. Huge rocks fell from the sky. A crack appeared between Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's brows, and then his body was split in half. He let out a painful roar. Damn it! How could his opponent's sword chi be so terrifying? Barbaric Spirit's secret technique. His body quickly healed, and then he roared. Endless blood-red runes appeared on his body and burned quickly. Then, a soul phantom appeared. This was not a soul attack, but an ancestor phantom formed by his bloodline. It was a battle spirit between heaven and earth. With a giant axe in hand, it charged forward. Let's see how you fight. The divine king Barbaric Spirit sneered. With his family's secret technique, he could fight against existences more terrifying than himself. The attack brought with it a tremendous amount of pressure. It was as if the attack was capable of cleaving Lin Xian in half. Lin Xian struck out with the immortal sword. At the same time, the mountain-embracing seal and the man-ruler seal attacked together. With a bang, the battle spirit was torn into pieces. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's body was shattered again. He became terrified. Don't kill me, I'm just here to accept the mission. He was finally afraid. He had used his strongest secret technique, but he still couldn't kill his opponent. This time, other than me, there are two people who accepted the mission. They are stronger than me. Let me go, and I'll tell you who they are. I don't need to know who they are. Anyone who dares to kill me will go to hell. Lin Xian's voice was cold as he walked over. A sword shadow appeared in his hand, and he slashed forward, destroying Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's body and soul. After taking Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's storage ring, Lin Xian soared into the sky and left this place. Half a day later, a figure descended from the sky and floated in midair. He was wearing a spotless white robe. Chapter 4487. The white-robed figure frowned when he saw that the Holy King Manling had fallen. Is that Holy Venerate really that powerful? His expression turned grave. He realized that the Holy King Manling's body had been completely shattered. Obviously, it was the result of a close combat battle. That kid's physique is even stronger than the Holy King Manling's. However, the white-robed figure did not retreat. Instead, he said, "Interesting. Manling, I'll avenge you." He turned into a beam of sword light and disappeared into the void. At night, the stars shone brightly and the moon hung high in the sky, making the ground extremely bright. Lin Xian sat cross-legged in the forest, absorbing the power of heaven and earth to cultivate. 3 days have passed. Haven't the people of Ethereal Peak found me yet? Thinking of this, he shook his head slightly and took out the map. At this moment, the light on the map shone even brighter. Lin Xian held the map and carefully sensed it. He felt that there was something summoning him in a certain direction. Suddenly, his eyes flashed and he put away the map. In the next moment, he retreated backward. The surrounding array was broken, and a beam of light shot towards where he was originally at like lightning. It slashed that place into nothingness. Lin Xian had already come to the side. He focused his gaze and realized that the lightning was a flying sword. It was the size of a palm and emitted a cold light. Sword-wielding technique. He frowned slightly. That's right. You know quite a lot. A figure descended from the sky and said coldly. It was a white-robed figure. 2 flying swords circled around him. At the same time, the flying sword from before also flew back to his side. The 3 flying swords kept circling around him. He was like a sword god, descending forcefully. You must be Lin Xian. I didn't expect you to be able to kill the Holy King Manling. But unfortunately, you met me. Remember, my name is the Flying Sword Holy King. Don't forget my name when you report to the King of Hell. With a wave of his hand, the 3 flying swords instantly flew over, piercing through everything with an unparalleled aura. Boom! 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 Lin Xian struck 3 consecutive palms on the flying swords. The flying swords trembled and were deflected, piercing through the mountains beside him. Hundreds of mountains collapsed instantly. On the other hand, Lin Xian's body glowed with radiance. Similarly, the 10 ultimate swords appeared in his hands. Since you're a swordsman, I'll use my sword skills to finish you off. Endless sword chi rushed out of Lin Xian's body and swept in all directions. It was like a green lotus blooming, enveloping the entire world. You want to compete with me in swordsmanship? Overconfident. The flying sword Saint King smiled. His great 3 flying sword was an extremely powerful sacred artifact. Furthermore, it had been by his side since he was young and had been nurtured. It could be said that it was even more nimble than his arms. Furthermore, those 3 flying swords were capable of slicing through Sacred King Barbarian Spirit's body. In other words, no matter how strong the other party's physique was, he was confident that he could break through it. The 3 flying swords tore through the void like golden lightning and shot towards Lin Xian's 3 vital points. Lin Xian's expression was cold as he displayed the 10 extinction swords. The great dragon sword spirit in his body circulated. 9 suns opened the sky. The sword slashed down and collided with the 3 flying swords. Kacha! The 3 flying swords spun in the air before they were sent flying by the sword. The sword chi did not stop and continued to descend. How was that possible? The flying sword Saint King's pupil shrank. He wanted to escape, but it was too late. After the sword slashed, his soul was destroyed. Even at the moment of his death, he could not believe that Lin Xian had killed him with a single sword slash. With a wave of his hand, another storage ring flew back. These ethereal peak experts had many treasures in their storage rings. Lin Xian was very satisfied. At the same time, he swept his gaze across and stared at the 3 flying swords. They could withstand the 9 suns splitting the sky without shattering. It seemed that the materials used were very special. He reached out his hand and formed a golden cloud that grabbed the 3 flying swords. The flying swords resisted and the sword chi rushed into the sky. However, Lin Xian suppressed them and activated his heavenly secret divine eye to erase the soul imprint on them. Lin Xian threw them into the storage ring. He continued on his journey. This time, he flew for 2 days before stopping. Then, he took out the Great Sage Pagoda and 2 figures fell out from it. They were Yan Hua and Yan Kuei. As soon as they appeared, they roared crazily. Damn kid, you crippled us. You're dead meat. Our old ancestor won't let you off. Lin Xian slapped them twice. Their faces were smashed and they did not dare to speak again. However, Lin Xian's gaze swept across the area. Soon, he found a place. It was a small hill that was very desolate. There were not many plants on it and there were some beasts around it. They had already escaped. Lin Xian flew there and nodded. He was very satisfied. From now on, the two of you will stay here. What does that mean? Yan Hua and Yan Kuei asked in horror. Lin Xian waved his hand and directly pierced the ground beside the small hill, forming a deep abyss. He said that he would suppress the two of them here for 3,000 years. No, you can't do that. The two of them roared crazily. They were really scared. If Lin Xian wanted to kill them, their old ancestor would probably know and come to their rescue. However, if Lin Xian suppressed them here, no one would know. 3,000 years. They felt like dying. They might as well kill him with a sword. The two of them struggled and wanted to beg for mercy, but they were slapped into the abyss by Lin Xian. Then, the ground shattered. Lin Xian cast an array formation and directly sealed the place. He looked into the distance and pierced through the void. He thought that the third person should be arriving soon. His body rose into the air. Behind him, a figure with a murderous look flashed past quickly. He had locked onto him. The corners of that person's mouth curled up into a cold smile. However, in the next moment, he frowned. Are you trying to escape? He sped up and chased after him. After chasing for a long time, he finally arrived above a lake. The lake was like the sea, and it even carried an extremely cold aura. Is this the place you chose to die? The third figure descended. It was a burly man with a face full of beard. His expression was cold. He waved his hand and took out a large cauldron. The large cauldron was simple and unadorned. It was square in shape, and there were the faces of monsters on all four sides. It was actually the weapon of a sage king. After the burly man arrived, he immediately attacked without saying anything. The four beasts' cauldron instantly enlarged and pressed down like a demonic mountain. The ground below kept breaking open, unable to withstand the aura of the Sage King at all. This weapon was even more terrifying than the flying sword from before. Looking at the descending four beasts' cauldron, Lin Xian roared and slapped the sky with his palm. With a clang, his palm slapped the four beasts' cauldron, and the large cauldron kept shaking. The burly man's body trembled. What a terrifying power! He shouted coldly and formed a seal with his palms. The four beasts' cauldron was as stable as Mount Tai as it pressed down again. Countless rays of light appeared, piercing through the void like sharp swords. Lin Xian's body wobbled as he was hit by those powers. He was forced to retreat continuously. However, those attacks only left some marks on his body. They were unable to break his body at all. Chapter 4488. Boz. Lin Xian kept waving the 9-yang divine palm. It was like thousands of suns breaking through the void. He fought with the Saint King's weapon with his bare hands. After a series of battles, the burly man's face was pale. Using the Saint King's weapon consumed a lot of energy, but he realized that his opponent's divine power was like the sea. He swallowed 2 pills and gritted his teeth. He was really angry. He held the cauldron with one hand and charged forward. 4 demonic beast phantoms appeared on the cauldron. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, wanting to devour Lin Xian's soul. Dragon-shaped sword qi rushed out of Lin Xian's body and slashed at the demonic beast phantoms. The 4 demonic beast phantoms let out mournful roars. He fled again and hid in the cauldron. Let me show you what a true saint artifact is. Lin Xian took out the Great Destruction Spear. A terrifying demonic aura surged in all directions. The burly man gasped. It was so terrifying. It felt much more terrifying than his four-beast cauldron. This guy actually had a saint artifact too. He quickly retreated and distanced himself. However, the Great Destruction Spear attacked. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The burly man could only hide in the four-beast cauldron and defend. The void outside was completely torn apart and turned into nothingness. Only a huge cauldron floated between heaven and earth. Lin Xian snorted coldly and flew up. He clenched his hand into a fist and threw out tens of thousands of punches. Each punch landed on the four-beast cauldron. The four-beast cauldron kept shaking. If it wasn't a saint artifact, it would have been broken long ago. Even so, it was still beaten by Lin Xian until it was dim and dull, and trembled non-stop. After an unknown number of punches, Lin Xian finally stopped. The surrounding void was still shattering. The four-beast cauldron in front of him was completely motionless. There was no movement inside. Lin Xian walked forward and looked inside. He found that the burly man hiding inside had long been torn apart and turned into a bloody mist. Although the four-beast cauldron was a Saint King's weapon, it blocked Lin Xian's punches and did not shatter. However, Lin Xian's strength was so strong that some of it still entered. In addition to the continuous attacks, the burly man inside finally couldn't take it anymore and was killed by this force. Lin Xian took the four-beast cauldron and entered the Great Sage Pagoda. He wanted to refine this Saint King's weapon Saint King. Lin Xian first used the Great Dragon Sword Soul to destroy the remaining soul on it. Logically speaking, it was impossible to Lin Xian's weapon. However, Lin Xian of the Saint King's Pagoda. Lin Xian's heaven's heaven of God's soul pagoda he felt pagoda and he of the beast cauldron of the cauldron. With a wave of his hand, the souls of the four beasts flew out and roared toward the sky. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up. This was even more terrifying than the three flying swords. God Saint Cauldron sword beast of it's that. And it could be considered one of his trump cards. Lin Xian checked the storage rings of a few people and found that there were indeed many spiritual herbs, natural treasures, and dragon marrow inside. After sorting these things out, Lin Xian continued to provide power to the great dragon sword soul. At this moment, a map suddenly flew out of the storage ring and bloomed with a bright light. Countless runes appeared on it and intertwined to form a mark. Lin Xian's eyes lit up when he saw this place. He had received a summon. From the looks of it, the thing in the map should be coming out soon. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. With a sway of his body, he soared into the air and flew into the distance. Boundless sea. There were raging waves here that stretched as far as the eye could see. Legend had it that in ancient times, this was a place where supreme experts fought and the earth shattered, forming the sea. It was said that endless secrets were buried here. Over the years, many people had come to explore, but no one dared to go to the depths of the sea. This was because there were even more terrifying sea demons that were not weaker than human powerhouses. They were also extremely powerful existences among the 10,000 ancient races. At this moment, there were a few palaces floating in the air above the boundless sea. The divine chains that surrounded them were surging with a terrifying aura. One after another, figures came in and out of the palaces. At this moment, there was a throne in one of the palaces. A woman was sitting on it. She wore a long dress and a half mask on her face. Her eyes seemed to be able to control the world. There were a few tails behind her. She swayed gently, and the void collapsed. At this moment, the mysterious woman with the half mask looked at the figures kneeling before her. She asked, "How is it?" "Elder Tianyin, don't worry. The formation is almost done. It won't be long before we can go down to investigate. After hearing this, the three women nodded slightly and revealed a satisfied smile. Someone walked over and said, "Elder, the people from the Flying Rain Grotto Heaven and Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven are here. Should we make a move in advance and get rid of them?" "There's no hurry. Let them set it up first. It won't be too late to make a move when the thing really appears," Elder Tianyin said calmly. So they were from the Green Hill Grotto Heaven. The other palaces should belong to the Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven and the Flying Feather Grotto Heaven. He wondered what they were doing in this sea. However, he could see that there were rays of formation light shining at the bottom of the sea. These people were setting up a supreme formation. At the same time, a figure flew over from the distant sea. Lin Xian looked at the endless sea and frowned slightly. He could feel that the light of the map was getting stronger. Obviously, the destination was in this sea. When he arrived, he had already seen a tall stone tablet by the sea. On it, the words "Boundless Sea" were written. He had even heard of a legend about the boundless sea. However, as he flew into the sea, there were fewer and fewer people. In the end, there were no longer any martial artists who dared to be here. However, after flying for a while, he frowned as he realized that there were more and more people in front of him. There was even the aura of a sage king. Not only that, he could also sense the power of the formation. There was more than one. There were people. Lin Xian was surprised. Could it be that they had the same purpose as him? Lin Xian used the heavenly secret god eyes, and a pair of eyes in the sky shrouded the area below. As expected, he discovered that there were many people, and these people's auras were very powerful. Lin Xian sensed carefully, hid the map, and flew carefully. He bypassed most of the people and flew towards a sea. It should be here. Lin Xian prepared to enter the sea. His body swayed, and he went in. After entering, he found that there were also people under the sea. Lin Xian's physique was fearless as he opened a barrier. He moved quickly. The people below thought that their companions had come. After taking a look, they realized that they were not from the same sect. "Who are you?" "Oh no, it's an enemy. Attack quickly." Chapter 4489. This was a half-step holy king. His attack was like a water dragon, and his long spear swept across. Lin Xian reached out his palm, grabbed the long spear, and blasted it in half. Another palm strike struck out, sending that person flying. That person fell into the depths of the sea, and his body split open and turned into a bloody mist. Damn it, the eyes of the surrounding people instantly turned red. Had one of their companions fallen? Kill him. In an instant, more than a dozen figures charged over from all directions. Many of them were water-type saints, and they used the water-type laws. Their monstrous power had an additional effect here. They turned into water cheelants and charged over. At the same time, two water barriers appeared, suppressing Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body shook, and the 9 suns' divine fire swept out like a sun, sweeping in all directions. Was this kid a fool to use flames in the sea? The surrounding experts sneered, but in an instant, they felt their hair stand on end. Because this flame was too terrifying, all the seawater was instantly evaporated, and an empty space appeared. Not only that, the water cheelants and barriers they cast out were also instantly shattered. 6 figures turned into ashes, and the others were also repelled. Their bodies were charred black, and they were injured by the divine fire. Damn it! How could this guy's flame be so terrifying? This was the boundless sea. Any flame would be extinguished here, but the other party was an exception. Go and invite the Holy King. He was too powerful. These people exclaimed. Soon, they formed seals and sent a message. From afar, a figure flew over. It was an old man with the aura of a holy king. At the same time, there were also people in the distance. Who was it? How dare you attack the people of the Xiling Grotto heaven? After the old man descended, he said coldly. There was also a terrifying law of water surrounding his body. Kid, it's you. When the old man saw Lin Xian, he was instantly stunned. He had seen this person before, because he had also gone to the martial arts competition and was present. He had seen Lin Xian before. So he was stunned. He didn't expect to be here. Elder, who was this kid? More people came from the surroundings and formed an inescapable net, enveloping Lin Xian. The old man laughed. He was just lucky to have married Princess Xueqi. What? This brat married Princess Xueqi. The surrounding people were all stunned when they heard this. They had heard countless stories about Lin Xian, but this was the first time they had seen him in action. Some people's eyes instantly turned red. Someone sneered. So this was how it was. He was nothing more than a battle servant. What was there to be arrogant about? That's right. Brat, you can only stand behind a woman. Without Princess Xueqi's support, can you stand in front of us? Lin Xian glanced at these people, and golden light burst out from his eyes. It turned into a sharp sword and attacked. In an instant, the souls of the 5 figures were destroyed. You can't even withstand a single glance from me. Do you ants have the qualifications to clamor in front of me? A cold voice sounded. The people of the Violet Spirit Chamber turned pale, not daring to say anything. That elder was furious. Audacious. The other party had killed 5 of his disciples in front of him. This was a slap to his face. Brat, you are strong and can defeat young Master Xingqian, but I am not a young man like him. When I dominated the world, you weren't even born yet. So now, go to hell. A huge hand slapped over, and endless seawater formed a huge hand that enveloped Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian punched out, and the huge golden hand was like a flame, resisting the attack. With a cracking sound, the huge hand was burned and turned into white mist that spread out in all directions. The elder frowned and retracted his hand. His opponent was indeed able to resist him. Moreover, he was able to use flames at the bottom of the sea. How could a holy venerate have the battle prowess of a holy king? The elder was shocked. However, he soon calmed down. No matter how powerful his opponent was, they were at the bottom of the sea. He was a water-type holy venerate. He could control the entire sea. As he roared, the seawater in the 9 heavens and 10 earths surged and formed a terrifying sword of water with his palm. Kid, let me teach you what a holy king-level divine ability is. The elder revealed a smile. Then, he swung his sword. The monstrous sea seemed to have come alive. It let out waves of roars and charged over quickly. Lin Xian's figure flashed and rushed over. The 10 ultimate swords formation appeared on his body, and countless sword chi flew out. At the same time, he took out the 4 beasts cauldron and blasted it forward. The power of the 4 beasts cauldron directly caused a terrifying crack to appear in the seawater. The phantoms of 4 beasts appeared, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Boom! After a series of collisions, the sword of water cracked, and the elder vomited blood and flew backward. His expression became extremely ugly. Damn it, the weapon of a holy king. His body caved in. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with shock. Was he still human? How could he injure their elder? Damn it! The elder roared. It seemed that he was asking for help. At the same time, two figures flew over from afar. One of them was a middle-aged woman holding a blue bottle. The other was a gray-haired man with an iron sword on his back. Both of them had the aura of a holy king. When the two great sage kings arrived, they frowned. "You're injured." "Who could injure that old man?" The elder pointed to the front and said, "Capture that kid. He had endless secrets on him." The two great sage kings turned their heads. Their eyes were like lightning, piercing through the sea. In the next moment, they were also stunned. "It's him. That kid actually came here." Could it be that the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven had also discovered the secret? They didn't know. That kid came here on his own. They were using pills while absorbing the power of water around them to recover. So far, they had only discovered him. No one else from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven had discovered him. Was he alone? Was he here to die? The middle-aged woman sneered. The man with the iron sword was the same. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Since he was here, he might as well stay. The Iron Sword Holy King swept his sword. This was the law of metal, and it was indestructible. Lin Xian waved his arm, and the 10 ultimate sword formation exploded. Dazzling sword rays flew out, turning into tens of thousands of sword rays. The iron sword was blocked, and it kept shaking. The Iron Sword Holy King's face changed. What a terrifying power. He seemed to have felt the law of metal as well. A young kid like him wanted to overturn the heavens. The Aquarius Holy King sneered at the side. She waved her blue bottle with both hands, and endless water gushed out. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms, and the human sovereign seal swept out, knocking the bottle away. So powerful. The Aquarius Holy King's face changed drastically. One person could actually fight against the three of them. The elder said. This kid was too strange. He definitely had the power of a holy king. It seemed that the three of them had to join forces. The three great sage kings walked up. The others quickly retreated. This was a battle between holy kings. This kid was too scary. Was he really a young man? He must have some treasures. But don't worry. With the three great sage kings attacking together, no matter how strong he was, he would fall today. Chapter 4490. Lin Xian frowned slightly. The three great sage kings. He also felt the pressure. Moreover, the most important thing was to find out where the item on the map was. If he guessed correctly, the people from the other grotto heavens should also be looking for that item. However, those people did not have a map and only knew a rough area of the sea, so they set up a formation and began to search. And he had a map, so he could find that place more accurately. While he was thinking, the three great sage kings attacked together. Monstrous sword Qi, terrifying seawater, and the great Tao treasure bottle all attacked. Their power was like the sea, causing everything to collapse. Lin Xian kept dodging. While using the 10 ultimate sword formation to block, he took out the 4-beast cauldron and attacked with monstrous beasts. At the same time, he carefully sensed, and the golden light in his eyes bloomed. After half an hour, his eyes suddenly burst out with a piercing cold light. He finally found it. The aura of space appeared around him, and he used the void escape and instantly disappeared. Damn it, did he let that kid escape? The three great sage kings roared crazily when their attacks missed. Chase, he's nearby, he can't escape. Activate the formation and seal the entire seabed. Orders were given, and the formation was activated instantly. The three great sage kings worked together to search. On the other side, a figure appeared in the depths of the sea. As soon as Lin Xian appeared, he continued to fly down. Below, there was a submarine canyon. Lin Xian entered the submarine canyon. After entering, he felt a huge pressure as if it was going to tear him apart. He roared and used his divine body to block it. It was too terrifying. It was probably because he had a divine body. Otherwise, if it were anyone else, they would not be able to come here at all. Ordinary sage kings could not. What on earth was in there? He looked around. The submarine canyon was not big, and there were many dragon veins below. There were a total of 6 dragon veins intertwined with each other. Where they gathered, they formed a mysterious Tao pattern that fluctuated and flickered with a terrifying light. It seemed that the item should be inside this Tao pattern. Lin Xian used the heavenly secret divine eyes to look. His gaze penetrated everything. The next moment, he saw a key inside. At that moment, the light on the map became even more resplendent. Could it be that what was marked on the map was a key? Lin Xian was shocked. He couldn't figure it out, but he still made a move first and obtained the key. He took out the great dragon sword soul. With one strike, he slashed at the Tao pattern, giving off a clanging sound. This attack did not manage to cut it open. This made Lin Xian even more shocked. This was the great dragon sword soul. Next, he went all out and fought for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Only then did he open the Tao pattern. Sweat dripped from his face, and his aura dropped significantly. Continuously using the great dragon sword soul consumed a lot of energy, but fortunately, he was able to open it. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed the key. Then, he quickly swallowed some natural treasures to recover his strength. However, at this moment, a voice came from outside the canyon. "Brat, do you think I won't be able to find you if you hide inside?" This voice was filled with a biting cold killing intent, causing Lin Xian's pupils to shrink. A sage king, and a sage king at that. Lin Xian raised his head, and his gaze was like lightning, piercing through the void. He saw many figures standing outside the canyon, and most of them were from the Purple Spirit Grotto heaven. There were also the 3 great sage kings. In front of them, there was a man dressed in battle armor, standing with his hands behind his back. If this person wasn't from the Purple Spirit Grotto heaven, could he be from the Ethereal Peak? He knew that the Ethereal Peak had sent experts to kill him. Weren't the 3 great experts? He had already killed them all. Now that another one had appeared, it seemed that the Ethereal Peak really wanted to kill him. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he flew forward. He arrived at the canyon. In front of him, the man in battle armor said, "Brat, come back with me. How dare you kill the experts of the Ethereal Peak? Go back and accept your punishment." He was indeed from the Ethereal Peak. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He said, "It was the Ethereal Peak who tried to assassinate me first. I was just retaliating. They deserve to die. As for going back with you, let's see if you have the ability." "You?" The man in battle armor sneered. "You killed 3 Saint King geniuses, but they were all early-stage Saint Kings. And I am a Saint King. If I want to kill them, I can do it with a punch. So, if I want to kill you, it will be as easy as flipping my hand. I advise you to go back with me obediently, or you will end up miserable. Is that so?" Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, and suddenly burst out with power. He activated the 10 ultimate sword formation and stabbed out. The terrifying sword light swept across the 9 heavens. Ignorant ant. Seeing that Lin Xian had taken the initiative to attack, the man in battle armor was furious. Since Lin Xian was courting death, he would fulfill his wish. He struck out with his palm, and between heaven and earth, endless light emerged. The starlight in the sky formed a starry sky map, and pressed down from the sky. Boom! Boom! This was a blow from a Saint King. The starry sky map fell and broke the sword qi in the sky. Then, it enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils shrank, and he retreated, dodging in an instant. The place where he was originally standing had completely turned into nothingness. He was too strong. Although there was only a gap of one stage, the difference between the early stage and the early stage was simply incomparable. The other party was right. A Saint King could kill an early stage Saint King with a slap. You're quite fast. But how many more moves can you make? You're no match for me at all. The man in battle armor sneered and struck out again. The starry sky map rotated, and it attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian took a deep breath, took out the four-beast cauldron, and activated it with all his strength. The power of the dragon sword soul rushed out. The four-beast spirits bloomed, and the demonic beast phantoms roared to the sky, and a terrifying power erupted between heaven and earth. Feeling this aura, the man in battle armor frowned. This is the four-beast cauldron of our misty peak, and you have it. What shocked him even more was that the power of the four-beast cauldron was much more terrifying than he had imagined. You can control it so perfectly so quickly. What kind of divine power is this? He didn't know that there was not only the power of the four-beast cauldron, but also the power of the dragon sword soul. Lin Xian sneered. You don't deserve to know. You're a saint master, and you want to kill me. Is this what Misty Peak does? It's really disappointing. If we're at the same level, I can kill you like a dog. Useless kid, in front of absolute strength, no matter how strong your talent is, it's useless. Today is the day you die. You're a saint master, and you can exert such strength. You must have endless secrets. If I catch you, the secret of your body will be mine. After saying that, the starlight around him became even more terrifying, forming a starry sky sword. Chapter 4491. The seawater continued to split open. The surrounding people from the grotto heaven were also pale. The three Saint Kings also kept retreating. He was too strong. The other party was a realm higher than them, and he was also using the Star Tribe's supernatural power. The three of them probably wouldn't be able to stop him. In their opinion, Lin Xian was dead meat. It was a pity that Lin Xian's secret was not fated to be with them. Lin Xian used the four-beast cauldron, and four demonic beasts charged over. At the same time, the Great Destruction Spear appeared in his hand again. With one strike, monstrous demonic aura surged in all directions, blocking the starry sky map in the sky. I'll also give you a chance. Kneel down now and I'll cripple you. I can spare your life. Lin Xian looked at the armored man and sneered. The armored man was furious when he heard this. Stupid ant, you have completely angered me. The other party took out two Saint King weapons and blocked his attack, making his lungs about to explode. He was a mid-stage Saint King. How much higher was his realm than the other party? At this moment, he couldn't do anything to the other party. His killing intent was awe-inspiring. With a wave of his hand, a real starry sky map flew out from between his eyebrows, bobbing up and down. This was a Saint King weapon, and it was extremely terrifying. The moment it appeared, it enveloped the four-beast cauldron and the Great Destruction Spear. Do you think you're the only one with a Saint King weapon? I'll freeze these two Saint King weapons. Let's see what you have to contend with me. Lin Xian felt that the two great sage Saint King weapons were affected, as if they were stuck in a quagmire and couldn't withstand it at all. At the same time, he quickly retreated. This was because a starry sky sword came from the sky, and the power it carried was too terrifying. Star Spirit Finger. A ray of starlight appeared in the armored man's hand and circled around his finger. He pointed out with his finger. This was the ultimate technique of Ethereal Peak. It had been used by Stardust before, but the power now was countless times stronger than Stardust. No one was able to block his finger. Even a Saint King of the same level would have to die. So powerful. Lin Xian frowned. He used the void escape and quickly dodged. Was this the power of a middle-stage Saint King? It was too strong. There seemed to be a gap in strength that could not be crossed. Did you see that? Brat, this is the difference between us. You can't even withstand a single blow from me. How are you going to fight me? The armored man smiled. Lin Xian's face was gloomy, but he soon smiled. Since that was the case, it seemed like he had to use his trump card. He was prepared to use the Great Dragon Sword Soul. Although he had used up a lot of energy earlier, he still had a lot of energy left. However, there were 6 dragon veins in the valley below. If he used the power of the dragon veins, he could definitely use the Great Dragon Sword Soul again. With a sway of his body, Lin Xian formed a formation that enveloped the area and directly absorbed the power of the 6 dragon veins. Then, he unleashed his Great Dragon Sword Soul. A dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, releasing a terrifying radiance. The dragon's roar resounded throughout the sea, causing the endless sea to tremble. The sea demons in the distance all let out terrified roars. The people of the Violet Spirit Grotto narrowed their eyes. Even the armored man furrowed his brows. His eyes were fixed on the Great Dragon Sword Soul. What was that? That brat actually had such a treasure. The corners of his mouth curled up. Very well, I'll take it. You dare to have any ideas about this treasure? Lin Xian snorted coldly. With this sword, it will be your time to die. As soon as he finished speaking, the 6 dragon veins below were completely absorbed. A surge of power poured into Lin Xian's body. With a roar, he waved his Great Dragon Sword Soul and slashed forward. Star Spirit Finger. The armored man once again used a terrifying technique. The sky was filled with starlight, shining with terrifying star laws. It flew forward. An earth-shaking sound rang out as the two collided, erupting with a destructive aura. The people of the grotto heavens were all blasted away. The 3 great sage kings were also pale as they quickly retreated. Previously, they were still sighing that they did not have the chance to kill Lin Xian personally. But now, they were somewhat glad because if the 3 of them were to attack, they probably would not be able to block such a terrifying sword. Damn it! A roar came from the shattered seawater in front of them. Everyone hurriedly looked over. In front, the armored man's face was cold. There was a crack on his finger and blood was flowing out. It couldn't be, the Star Spirit Finger had been broken. The 3 great sage kings were shocked. That was a supreme technique. The armored man also did not believe it. He did not hold back in that attack just now. Even a mid-stage sage king could not block it. But now, it was blocked by a sage king. It was simply unimaginable for him to be injured. The armored man roared, and the starlight on his body became even more terrifying. Star Chain. The endless starlight transformed into 9 chains that danced in the sky. Then, they charged forward. These 9 chains were even more terrifying. Each of them was comparable to a Sage King's weapon. At this moment, they swept across heaven and earth. Lin Xian also roared, letting out a dragon's roar. His eyes bloomed with a biting cold light. The great dragon sword soul kept waving, and every sword could split heaven and earth. Boom! Boom! The two collided. Countless cracks were torn open. The sky and earth were filled with terrifying laws and destructive auras. The crowd could no longer see the two figures. They could only feel that the two forces were fighting. After an unknown period of time, the aura slowly disappeared. The sword chi and terrifying starlight that filled the sky disappeared. What was the situation? Everyone watched carefully. Lin Xian stood there with a pale face. His eyes bloomed with a cold light. On the opposite side, the armor on the armored man's body was shattered. Countless cracks appeared, and blood flowed out. Some places had been pierced, and his body was almost torn apart. How could this be? The people of Xiling Grotto Heaven were all stunned. The armored man's eyes were also filled with horror. He could not believe that he had been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated by a Sage King. One had to know that there was an insurmountable gap between a Sage King and a Sage King. It was possible for a Sage King to escape from a Sage King. However, it was basically impossible to defeat a Sage King. Unless it was a supreme secret technique or someone from the Emperor clan, it would be possible. But this kid was not from the Emperor clan at all. And at the Sage King realm, the gap between the mid-stage and early stage was even greater than the gap between a Sage King and a Sage King. It could be said that it was even more difficult to fight someone of a higher level. However, the other party had done it and crossed the two great gaps. What kind of secret was in the other party's body? Why was it unexpected? Lin Xian looked at the other party and raised a disdainful smile. I said, you can't. The reason why you are now a Sage King is only because you have cultivated for a few thousand years. But even so, you are not my match. Now, I will send you to hell. Lin Xian walked up again. The array beneath his feet flickered, and the great dragon sword spirit roared again. Damn it, you want to kill me. What a joke. Charge. The armored man retreated while waving his hand. The people of Xiling Grotto Heaven felt their scalps go numb. The other party was a terrifying demon king. I order you in the name of Ethereal Peak. Do you want to disobey the order? Chapter 4492. The people of the Xiling Paradise felt their scalps tingle. The three great sage sovereigns sighed as well. Let's work together and attack. That brat was a holy venerate. After using his super strong trump card, he definitely did not have much strength left. Perhaps the other party was already at the end of his rope and was pretending to hold on. Attack. The three great sage sovereigns roared and charged forward, attacking continuously. Even so, they only attacked from afar. No one dared to get close. You are as timid as a mouse. You don't even have the courage to fight me in close combat. Are you worthy of being called sage sovereigns? Lin Xian smiled coldly and used the sovereign seal, sweeping it in all directions. At the same time, an undefeatable aura bloomed in his eyes. He used the great dragon sword soul and used the undefeatable sword. The three great sage sovereigns were forced back. Their bodies split open, and they felt like their souls were about to be extinguished. Lin Xian waved his sword. He focused on attacking the armored man. The armored man did not have time to retreat and was split open again. This time, his soul was shattered. After another 2 moves, he was killed, and his soul was extinguished. The starry sky chart directly broke through the sea and disappeared. Lin Xian took back the other party's storage ring and looked at the 3 great sage sovereigns. Run! The 3 great sage sovereigns felt their scalps tingle as they quickly retreated. At the same time, roars rang out. Reinforcements had arrived. He killed an expert of ethereal peak. Lin Xian snorted coldly and used the void escape, instantly disappearing. When the people in the palace above the sea heard this, their expressions changed. What? Someone killed an expert of ethereal peak. Quickly attack and take him down. The experts of the Xiling Paradise all moved out. The people of the Flying Rain Paradise and Green Hill Paradise also attacked. They entered the depths of the sea and found that the person had disappeared. Damn it! Quickly search. We must find this brat. The people of the 3 great grotto heavens quickly scanned the surroundings to find Lin Xian. Lin Xian had already used his spatial ability to leave. He arrived at another sea region. Then, he entered the Black Earth and started recovering. Little White was in charge of keeping watch while He Tu was in charge of flying. Lin Xian took out a heavenly treasure and began to absorb it. After flying for about a day, an extremely terrifying roar suddenly came from the sea in front of them. The void fluctuated, and the Black Earth was also affected. Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. Was someone coming? Little White jumped over and said, "Yeah, no, I can feel the aura of a powerful demonic beast." Lin Xian looked outside. In the next moment, he was astonished. Sure enough, he discovered that the sea water in front of him was surging into the sky. A terrifying sea demon, like a giant mountain in the sea, swept in all directions. There were many people fighting against it. However, at that moment, they were all retreating in a sorry state. Another terrifying ray of light shone. Following that, many people's bodies were split in half, turning into a bloody mist. Run! He's too strong. The surrounding people fled one after another, trying to escape. How dare you disturb me? All of you can go to hell. Under the sea, countless terrifying rays of light appeared and directly pierced through these people. Qin Xianer quickly retreated. Looking at the huge figure in front of her, her brows furrowed tightly. She realized that all the people who came before had fallen, and she was the only one left. The terrifying sea demon in front of her was staring at her. Her expression became extremely solemn. It was a sea shark, and it was extremely terrifying. It had reached the sage ruler realm. And it was a peerless fairy. Come and accompany me obediently. I can spare your life. In front, the sea shark stared at Qin Xianer. Xianer's expression became extremely cold. She gritted her teeth and said, "You? I'm from the Green Hill Grotto Heaven. It's best that you obediently surrender without a fight." "So what if you're from the Green Hill Grotto Heaven?" "I heard that the people from the Green Hill Grotto Heaven were all peerless fairies, and they even cultivated the secret techniques of the Green Hill Grotto Heaven. It seems that I definitely can't let you go." As he said that, he laughed loudly, and a blue saber light rushed forward. Qin Xianer snorted coldly. Her palms kept waving as she took out a guqin and played it non-stop. The sound of the guqin was bleak as it charged forward. It collided with the terrifying saber light. Boom! Boom! An earth-shattering sound was heard. Qin Xianer retreated. The saber light was extremely powerful. It actually broke through the sound of the guqin and charged forward again. At this moment, another bell flew out from Xianer's body. The Hehuan bell shook and emitted a light wave to protect her, blocking the saber. At the same time, a terrifying sound wave swept out in all directions. The sea shark jumped into the sea and dodged the sound wave attack. Then, he came out again. He was a sea demon himself, and in addition to the infinity sea, he was like a fish in water. He appeared and disappeared mysteriously. Qin Xianer could only passively counterattack and was suppressed. The sea shark said, "Little fairy of the Green Hill Grotto Heaven, did you see that? You're no match for me at all. I don't plan to kill you now. Just follow me obediently. I'll let you enjoy glory and wealth. Otherwise, if you offend me, you'll end up in a terrible state." Although Qin Xianer had 2 treasures, she was still no match for him. Suddenly, he slashed out a ray of light. At the same time, his huge body kept changing. He transformed into a human form. A saber slashed over. Qin Xianer defended passively. The Hehuan bell was hit and kept shaking. She spat out blood and flew out. However, at this moment, the guqin in her hand also released a murderous sound that attacked the sea shark's soul. The sea shark was also hit and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale. "Damn woman, you actually dared to hurt me. You've completely angered me. I've decided to send you to hell now." An extremely terrifying light burst out from his eyes. His voice was like thunder, and his killing intent was shocking. Qin Xianer's eyes were filled with despair. The sea shark was really too strong. The 2 weapons in her hand were both Saint King weapons, but they couldn't do anything to the sea shark. Who was this person? Next, the peerless saber light slashed down on Qin Xianer, and she spat out blood again. Her body was dyed red with blood, and it was abnormally shocking. Another slash. Her eyes were filled with despair because the Hehuan bell had been sent flying. The guqin in her hand probably wouldn't be able to hold on. Was she really going to die here? She was about to close her eyes. At this moment, a huge mountain appeared and turned into an immemorial demon mountain, sending the peerless saber light flying. She was saved. Qin Xianer opened her eyes and felt like she had just survived a disaster. On the opposite side, a murderous intent burst out from the sea shark's eyes. "Who dares to interfere in my business? It's me. Are you not happy?" He slapped out a palm like the palm of a god, rampaging and tearing apart the endless sea. He rushed forward. With a boom, the sea shark was sent flying. Half of the sea shark's body instantly cracked, and blood dyed the sea red. Damn it! He let out a crazy roar, and the sea shattered, and endless monsters crawled. "Who dares to hurt me? I'm going to tear you into pieces." The sea shark's eyes were filled with a cold light as he stared ahead. He saw a young man walking over. "You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.